Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Had Breakup and Got Surrounded by Yandere Girls Part 2. Before we start, please go support Angel Gonzalez 753 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Angel's revelation. The boys were totally surprised since they did not understand what was happening with this supposed band competition, and the simple fact that Ross mentioned that knowing that they were the only ones in the entire academy who had a band. Mr. Hyoudou. Ross and could tell us who the members of that band are, said the curious man. Ross. Of course, the members of the band are Tachibana Kukuri, Bizarius Gustav, Overlord Mike and Hyoudou Issei, said the woman very calmly, causing a shiver in the boys. I see. The clown has already screwed us. So the classes continued, but now Issei and his group could be seen outside the occult club quite nervous since they did not know how they ended up in that problem, but now they were on recess while they tried to remedy the situation, but they could not continue because Michael approached quite annoyed. Michael? Can you explain to me what that band thing means? He said, annoyed. Mike. Dad, I spoke nervously. Michael. Dad, what kind of anarchy is this that continues to steal cars and swim with homeless people? He said angrily. Mike. I don't think homeless people swim, he said, confused. Michael. Mike, stop with the nonsense, even your hair doesn't look as neat and pure as it used to be. I knew I shouldn't have let you come to the human world, he said with annoyance. Issei. Michael-sama, with all due respect, he couldn't continue because the ruler of heaven silenced him. Michael, silence, all this is your fault, you were the one who kept insisting on letting Mike come to the human world, he said seriously. Surzich. Enough nonsense, Michael, your son was the one who made the decision, he said seriously, arriving with his parents and wife. Michael. I don't care about that, Mike, when this day is over, take your things and we'll go back to heaven, he said seriously, leaving everyone in shock. Celeste. Michael, don't you think this is too much? Said his wife seriously. Michael. How can you tell me that? Don't you see what our son is becoming? He said seriously. Mike. That's enough, Dad, I'm not 5 anymore, he said angrily, facing his father. Michael. Answer me, he said seriously. Mike. Dad, I don't want to do it, but it's time for you to let me live my life my way. I know you love me very much and you always try to find the best for me, but for the same reason you're also hurting me by not letting me have my own experiences, you're not letting me live freely, he said seriously. Michael. Mike, what are you talking about? Said the man without understanding. Mike. A few days ago I was about to fall, he said seriously, surprising all the adults upon learning that the son of the overlord of heaven was about to fall. Michael. You see, that reinforces my point. In this world, you ran that danger, which in heaven you didn't. He said seriously and firmly with his decision. Mike. That's the point, for trying to protect me you never let me understand what life is really like, I never experienced the feeling of love, I never knew what rejection or sadness felt like, I had only heard all that through your words or my mother's. I never experienced it on my own, and the only thing you caused was to hurt me by not knowing how to face these situations, and if it weren't for Issei and Gustav, the first would never have been able to overcome all the difficulties, he said, seriously, surprising everyone. Celeste. He's right, now I realize that overprotecting our son caused him more harm than good, said the woman in a calm tone of voice, putting her hand on the overlord's face. Michael. But he couldn't continue because the woman interrupted him. Celeste. Do you remember that when we met you also had a lot of trust issues because you had never been in a relationship and you didn't know a lot of things because you were always in heat, you even thought that I would leave you and go with someone else, said the woman with a small smile that made the blonde blush deeply. Michael. You don't have to remind me, he said sadly. Celeste. I think we should give Mike a chance to show us what he's capable of, she said calmly. Michael. It's okay, you can stay in the human world, he said calmly, looking at his son who just smiled. Mike. Thank you, Odo-san, Oka-san, he said happily. Surzich. I'm glad that this whole problem has been solved, but now you can explain to me very well the reason why you made a band. I already knew you had one, but you never told me why you formed it, he said curiously, looking at Issei. Issei. Well, it's a long story, boo. He couldn't continue because Sona arrived with her queen and her sister. Sna. Hi Issei, I'm sorry you weren't informed about the competition, she said embarrassedly, giving him a piece of paper. Issei. No problem if it surprised us a little, but we were able to assimilate it a little and well, this is the role, he said curiously. Sona. That's all you need to know about the competition and how the event will be, she said a little calmer. Issei. Let's see, he said curiously while his companions read it with him. Mike. There will be 2 rounds. In the first round, the 4 invited schools will participate and the 2 best schools will go to the end where they will make their final presentation and one will be named the winner, he said curiously. Gustav. The first presentation will take place with a random genre, and the participants may present themselves as a musical group or a band, he said seriously, while the boys opened their eyes. Issei. If we have to introduce ourselves as a group, we're lost, he said seriously. Like. Relax, look, the contest is in a week, we can prepare something just in case, he said calmly. Gustav. Damn, we're in trouble. The rival schools are the KU Institute of the Arts, the Human Private School, and the KU Youth Institute for Young Talents. The latter doesn't worry me much, but the other two are renowned in Japan for their music classes, he said seriously. Naiko. Don't tell me you're afraid of that contest, said the girl, surprising the adults a little since, regardless of the fact that she was a human, she was a celebrity. Like. Of course we're not going all out, he said seriously. Naiko. I hope so. One light goes off and another turns on. Classes had ended and Issei and his friends could be seen pensive on the school rooftop as they had a lot of things to do due to the concert, since it was not only about having songs ready, but they also had to prepare a musical number in case they won the group category. Issei. I don't know how we'll do that, he said frustrated. Like. Do you want to relax a little? It's not that complicated. We already know how to make songs. We just need to implement a dance routine, he said calmly. Gustav. Saying it like that it sounds easy, but in practice it is what is difficult, he said thoughtfully. Fukuri. We haven't even counted the small problem that if the group thing comes out, I could go out dancing alone, she wrote doubtfully. Gustav. She has a good point, and that makes us have all the weight of the song. He couldn't continue because the door opened revealing Mitsuda and Motohama somewhat serious looking at the brown-haired boy who was a little surprised when he saw them like that. Issei. Hey guys, can I help you with something? He said curiously. Motohama. Wow, it seems that now we are your friends when you have been ignoring us for almost a month, said the boy seriously. Issei. I understand that you are upset and I have left you aside, but it's just that I've had a lot of problems lately, and you know he couldn't continue because he was interrupted. Mitsuda. Yes, what a Kenny left you for Sato, he said seriously. Issei. How do you know his name? He said confused since he didn't know it. Motohama. Well, it turns out that Akeni was right, he is much better than you, since he gets us many perverted things, he said amused, causing some pain in the brown-haired boy when he saw how his friends expressed themselves about him. Mitsuda. You are just a stupid vermin compared to him, it is not for nothing that you were replaced by him, he said with disgust pushing the brown-haired boy who fell to the ground due to the shock. Gustav. That's enough, he said furiously as he grabbed the two by the neck and slammed them against the wall. Motohama. Hey, don't be so aggressive, you should meet Sato-san, he is a friend worth having, he said with difficulty, since with each word he said, the black-haired man tightened his grip. Gustav. You think that friendship is based on something material, you are very wrong, friendship is based on the bonds you form with a person you can trust and that you know will be there in good times and bad, that if you fall they will help you get up, and only a few people like Issei have shown me that, he said with contempt in his voice, while Issei and the others looked at him in amazement. Like. Enough Gustav, don't waste your time with trash like them, he said coldly as he helped Issei get up. They took their things and left. Gustav. I see them coming towards us and I will finish them off. Haidu residence. We can see the Gremory entourage along with Irina, Griselda, Ravel, Kuroka, Office, Sona, Momo and Ruruko talking, since they wanted to give the boys a surprise for their big event. Bakeno. And you think they like it, she said thoughtfully. Rias. Of course we know Issei and like him the four of them will be so wrapped up in writing the songs for the event that they will forget to make their costumes, she said calmly. Sona. We will make their costumes so that when they have the songs ready, we will show them the outfit, she said happily, while all the girls except Ruruko imagined how the boys thanked them for having their costumes ready. Ruruko. I don't want to spoil your plans, but how are we going to make the costumes when we don't even know what musical genre the songs will be, said the girl somewhat embarrassed but with all reason. Rias. Ah damn, we forgot that detail, she said incredulously like the others. Griselda. I think we can easily solve that problem, she said seriously. Zenobia. Really Sister Griselda, she said amazed by the nun's quick reaction. Griselda. Sure, you see, we'll start with some sketches and ideas for the costumes while we give the boys some time to write the songs, and when they have them, we'll ask them and that's it. Based on what kind of song they write, we'll see which sketches fit best, she said calmly while everyone nodded. Oruko. What a great plan. 30 minutes later. Who Center. We can see the band walking towards the brown-haired boy's house, but they seemed somewhat tense since no one spoke after what happened on the school roof, but the ice was broken by Issei himself. Issei. Thank you for defending me, he said calmly without looking at the black-haired man. Gustav. No, you don't have to thank me, he said somewhat surprised. Issei. If I have the truth, I remained static when I heard them speak and I didn't know how to react, he said with his head down. Like. Hey, lift your face, don't get depressed again, besides, people like them who see friendship that way don't deserve to be your friends, he said seriously while placing his hand on the brown-haired man's shoulder. Kukuri. A friend is the one who supports, not the one who hurts, he showed his sign making the brown-haired boy smile. Issei. They are right, and he could not continue because a strange chill ran through his body. Gustav. What's going on? He said seriously when he saw how the brown-haired boy suddenly became serious. Issei. I just felt Saji's presence, but he's weakening, he said confused. Gustav. That's impossible. According to what he told us, he would go on a training mission a week ago and would return at the end of the month, he said seriously. Issei. I don't know either, but his presence fades away as if he were dying, he said seriously, making Gustav take Kukuri, and in a quick movement the four of them disappeared at high speed. 3 minutes later. We can see the three boys along with Kukuri, who was on the black-haired boy's back, appear at the entrance of an alley quite far from the city, almost on the outskirts of it. Issei. It's here, he said seriously. Gustav. I can smell his blood, he said seriously while bringing out his wolf features. Like. Let's move forward carefully, he said seriously showing a pair of his wings. The boys began to advance slowly into the alley until a couple of meters ahead they found Saji leaning against a wall with his wrists cut and looking at the ground. Issei. Saji, what the heck, he said as he ran to help the boy. Gustav. Quick, Mike holds his wrists tightly, he said seriously while taking out his medical kit. Saji. Issei, what are you doing here? He spoke weakly. Issei. But what the hell is wrong with you, why are you like this? He said confused while trying to make the boy stay conscious. Saji. Love Issei, sorry, heartbreak, he said weakly as he tried to break free from the albino's grip. Gustav. Stay still, he said seriously while holding the hand of his entourage partner. Saji. You don't understand, I want to die, he said seriously. Like. Stop talking nonsense, he said seriously. Saji. It's not stupid things that you would feel if the girl you want left you for another and threw you away like a toy, well, Issei, you know how it feels. The good thing is that you had friends who took you out of that cold, dark pit of loneliness, he said, head down. Issei. Then why didn't you come to me? I'm also your friend, he said angrily hitting the boy. Gustav. Maybe we don't talk much in the clan, but we have always supported each other, and you could say that we are friends, he said seriously while bandaging his partner's wrists. Like. I can see that you have a good and gentle heart, and I've always seen you worry about others before yourself, and I'd like to be your friend, he said calmly, surprising the boy. Kukuri. If you want, we can also be friends. He showed his notebook happily. Saji. I couldn't continue because Issei spoke. Issei. Besides, how can you want to die when you have your brothers waiting for your return, Sona and the rest of the entourage, you've started to think about them, haven't you? Sona and the others, even if they don't express it, you're important to them, he said annoyed while Saji lowered his head beginning to cry. Saji. I don't want to die, he said sadly. Issei. Then let's overcome the pain together. The project grows. Issei and company advanced at high speed towards the brown-haired boy's house so that Asia could heal the citri pawn, since it was the first thing that occurred to them to help Saji who, despite the fact that his partner had helped him, it was not enough to keep him out of danger. Issei. Hold on Saji, we're almost there, he said seriously as they fell into the backyard of the house. Riaz. Issei, I see that you're already here, but what happened to Saji? She said confused seeing the boys entering. Issei. Quick Riaz, talk to Asia, he said seriously while laying the blonde down on an armchair. Riaz. Understood, she said seriously as she went to look for her bishop. Issei. Come on, you'll be fine, he said calmly as he saw his friend looking very weak. Saji, thanks for doing this for me, he said weakly. Gustav. Don't talk, you must save your strength, he said seriously. Sona. Saji, what happened to you, she said confused as everyone arrived. Issei. Sona, please, this is not the time for explanations. Asia, please heal him, he said seriously while the blonde nodded and held the wrists of the citri pawn. Saji. Kaichu, I tried to take my own life, he said sadly as he looked at his king leaving the place in silence while Sona had her face covered by her hair. Riaz. Are you serious? She said incredulously while looking at Issei who just nodded. Sona. Why? Said the black-haired girl without looking up. Saji. Because of stupid Kaichu, because couldn't continue because. Sona. Why did you do something so stupid? She screamed furiously but at the same time she could be seen sad like the rest of her entourage, but especially Raruko. Issei. Sona, you should calm down, he's going through a difficult situation and he couldn't continue because Sona spoke. Sona. I know he's going through a difficult situation, otherwise I can't explain why he made that decision, but as his king he can come to me for help, and maybe it's a very personal issue, but at least he should tell me that the situation is complicated so I can see how I can help him. He's my pawn and being one he's part of my family, and seeing someone in my family do something stupid like this only makes me frustrated for not doing anything, she said helplessly, leaving everyone impressed. Saji. Forgive me Kaichu, I was a complete fool to do it and you don't know how much I regret my decision, he said weakly, while with a little strength he got up and knelt in front of Sona with his head on the floor. Sona. Get up Saji, she said while crouching down and placing her hand on her pawn's shoulder. Saji. But he couldn't continue because the black-haired girl interrupted him. Sona. Get up and show me that this was just a small mistake and that it will never happen again, she said calmly. Saji. I promise, he said while standing up. Gustav. Well, I think it would be best if you rested, he said calmly while helping him move. Issei. I think it's best for him to stay here tonight, he said calmly. Saji. I don't want to cause any trouble, he said with a little more strength. Issei. Of course it won't be a bother, and Gustav, Mike and Kukuri will stay tonight to continue moving forward with the band, he said calmly. Griselda. Speaking of which, they already have more or less the songs that they will play in the contest, she said curiously, while the girls smiled since their plan could still be in motion. Issei. No, we still haven't seen what the songs will be like and what melodies they will have, he said nonchalantly, while all the girls became a little depressed. Gustav. Well, I'll take Saji to the guest room, he said calmly as he went up the stairs. Sona. Now that Saji is not here, can you tell me what happened to him? She said curiously, looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei. It all happened because his girlfriend changed him, he said seriously, surprising everyone since they didn't know that Saji had a girlfriend, and the most surprised was a member of the Citri clan who felt a great pain in her chest. Sona. What do you mean, girlfriend? I don't understand, she said confused. Issei. We are not sure either, he only told us that the girl who loved him had changed him. It seems that nobody knew that Saji had a girlfriend, he said thoughtfully. Sona. I just hope he can get over it, she said somewhat worried. Issei. Don't worry, you'll see that he'll get out of this. It's not like a dragon curse is going to fall on him because of a heartbreak, he said calmly, while all the girls looked at him confused. Greg. Please, mate, what a ridiculous thing to say, a curse out of heartbreak, what a good joke, as if something like that existed, he said amused as the green gem appeared on his arm. Issei. What a madness, well girls, we are leaving, we have a lot of work to do, he said calmly, while watching the werewolf come down. Rias. Okay, Issei, tonight we will bring you something for dinner, she said happily as the four boys went to her studio. Issei. Thank you. 6 hours later. We can see the boys sitting in their studio while eating what the girls just brought and repeating the lyrics they brought several times to see how to improve them. Issei. Oh damn, we almost have it, he said thoughtfully. Mike. Yes, and this could be a great song, he said calmly. Gustav. I think that he couldn't continue because someone opened the door. Saji. Hey guys, working hard, he said quietly, but he looked better. Issei. Saji, what are you doing here? You should be resting, he said curiously. Saji. I know, but I got bored lying down for so long, and what are you doing? He said curiously. Issei. Well, we worked on songs for the Battle of the Bands, he said calmly while Saji sat down. Saji. I see, how are you doing? He said curiously. Issei. Well, we already have one, but we are working on more, but we also need to develop the melody, he said calmly. Saji. They allow me to see the complete one, he said curiously. Gustav. Sure, take it, he said, passing some pages. Saji. I see, it's interesting, and from what I can see, the most suitable instruments to develop the melody are keyboard, bass guitar and drums, he said calmly. Issei. Lo, he said curiously. Saji. What's wrong? He doesn't have any, he said curiously. Issei. No, we don't have any here at the academy, but how many guitars do we need? He said curiously. Saji. I would say about 2, since shortly before finishing I could fit in a guitar solo that after about 10 seconds is complemented by the other guitar and the bass, he said calmly. Mike. Oh, that's a problem, he said doubtfully. Saji. Because, he said curiously. Gustav. There are only 4 of us, he said seriously. Saji. It's true, I said 5 instruments and there are only 4, what a problem, he said calmly while thinking. Issei. I have the solution, he said calmly. Saji. Which one, he said curiously. Issei. Join the gang. Apartments of Ku. We can see an unsmiling happily while looking at a box on her bed from which an unparalleled glow was coming out. Griselda. Soon Mike-san we can be together, she said happily while taking a bracelet out of the box. Griselda. And no one will be able to separate us. Complications. Saji and the others looked at Issei quite confused after the strange solution he had provided to fix the song problem, but thinking about it coldly, it could be a quite logical option, since having an extra member in the band could open up more possibilities. Saji. Wow, that is a rather drastic decision, don't you think? He said confused. Gustav. I admit it's drastic, but I think it could work, he said calmly. Issei. I see we think the same, don't we? He said nonchalantly. Mike. When he looks at me like that, it kind of scares me, you know, he said, amused. Issei. And tell me, Saji, do you accept the challenge of joining the band, or will you continue to regret your heartbreak, he said seriously while staring at the blonde. Saji. You think I can't, he said with a raised eyebrow. Issei. I don't know, you tell me, he said calmly. Saji. Okay, I'm in, he said determinedly. Gustav. It's okay, it's inside, but we have to fix something, he said seriously. Saji. What a thing, he said curiously. Gustav. Your image. The next day. We can see Riaz and her entourage, as well as Arena and Ravel, cooking quietly while they waited for their beloved Chestnut who was still in his study, but before sending someone to talk to them about breakfast, a magic circle appeared from which Sona and Tsubaki came out, as well as Raruko, who surprised Riaz a little since it was unusual for her to accompany Sona. Riaz. Hello, Sona, good morning, she said calmly. Sona. Good morning, Riaz, we came to see how Saji is doing, she said calmly. Saji. I'm better than ever, Kaichu, he said calmly behind her. Sona. Hi Saji, I'm glad to hear you, Saji, she spoke incredulously, while everyone else was surprised to see him, especially a certain Citri pawn who was completely infatuated with the new Saji. Tsubaki. What a drastic change you had, she said amazed. Issei. It turned out well, didn't it? He said calmly. Riaz. 1 second, you did it, she said amazed. Gustav. Sure, with a little help from Vitra and Drake, he said calmly, surprising the girls a little more. Bekeno. I think that she couldn't continue because someone rang the bell. Issei. Whoever it is, it's too early, he said curiously as he approached the door and opened it. Excuse me, this is the Hyoudou residence, said a woman of about 27 years old with purple hair and eyes, who was looking seriously at the brown-haired boy. Issei. If it is here that it is offered to you, he said curiously and surprised to the boy. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Officer Issei Hyoudou, and I'm looking for Hyoudou, Issei, said the woman seriously while showing her badge. Issei. It's me who can help you, he said curiously. Nomori. May I come in? The woman said seriously. Issei. Sure, go ahead, he said confused as they both entered the house. Braz. Issei, who is she said seriously, while her mind began to imagine things like the other girls. Issei she couldn't continue because Sona spoke. Sona. Officer Issei Hyoudou, what a coincidence to see you here, she said seriously. Nomori. Likewise, Miss Citri, she said seriously. Riaz. What is a police officer doing here? She said confused. Nomori. I'm investigating the death of one of the 2 students who have recently died at Ku Academy, to be exact, the young male, she said seriously while Riaz tensed up. Issei. I understand, and what does that have to do with me, he said curiously. Nomori. Well, investigations show that you, along with your friends Bizarius Gustav and Overlord Mike, had a mishap with the victim and his friends, to the point of ending up in a fight, he said seriously, leaving everyone silent. Issei. And you think that I or my friends are involved, he said seriously. Nomori. I don't know, young Hyoudou, first I need to talk to you and then to your friends who I must look for in their houses, she said seriously. Gustav. You don't have to look for us, he said seriously. Mike. He is Gustav and I am Mike, he said seriously while they both stood next to Issei. Nomori. What a coincidence to see the 3 of you here, she said seriously. Issei. So you are insinuating that we are responsible, he said seriously. Sona. This is ridiculous, I already told you that Issei, Gustav and Mike have nothing to do with it, she said angrily. Nomori. I'm just doing my job, Miss Citri, she said seriously. Issei. I understand that you have to do your job, but the fact that we are gathered is because we have a band contest and we have to work, he said seriously. Nomori. I see, well, from what I see you are quite busy, so we will keep in touch, she said seriously leaving a card and then leaving. Issei. We will have very complicated days. 3 hours later. Ku Center. We can see a certain idol walking calmly through the city, obviously with her face covered so that she would not be recognized. Nikohum, I can't wait to see Mike singing at the band event, he said very happily while holding his chest. Kiryu. You know I couldn't have chosen a better boyfriend than you, said the brown-haired girl, catching the idol's attention. Tom. Well Tom, as I told you, it wasn't difficult to choose between that loser and me. By the way, what was his name? He's so insignificant that I don't even remember his name anymore, he said nonchalantly. Kiryu. His name was Mike the loser, honey, don't forget it, she said amused while a black-haired girl began to emanate a murderous aura. Nico. That damn thing is referring to Mike, my Mike, she thought furiously. Kiryu. By the way, I'm going back to the academy on Monday, he said with annoyance. Don't worry, we'll always see each other after school, and on Friday there's the battle of the bands. Don't forget that we've been having fun all week, he said calmly while the girl nodded. Kiryu. You're right and I think your school will win without a doubt, she said calmly. You're right and when that happens we'll celebrate very hard, he said amused as the two left, leaving an idol with only one idea in her head. Nico. I'll kill them. Back to the Hyoudou residence. We can see Issei who looked confused looking at Surzich since he had summoned him to talk to him, but he didn't do it yesterday when the Mayu was there all day. Issei. What's wrong Surzich-san, he said curiously. Surzich. Well you see, after an arduous investigation into Kiba's murder, we have not been able to find any trace of the murderer, but there was a little information that I want to talk to you about first and help me tell Riaz, since it is a delicate subject, he said seriously. Issei. What is it about, he said nervously. Surzich. Well, you see, the main thing was to investigate Kiba's body to look for some clue, but out of curiosity, the investigators analyzed the body of the other victim who was there, and it turns out that she was a human girl, but the most important thing is what was found in her, he said seriously, sharpening his gaze. Issei. What a thing, he said seriously. Surzich. She had Kiba's DNA inside her, to be more specific, in her womb, he said seriously. Issei. In her womb, are you trying to tell me that girl and Kiba had something, he said in shock. Surzich. And there is something else in her womb, he said lowering his head. Issei. No, it can't be, she's trying to tell me that she was, he said trembling with anger. Surzich embarrassed. Something strange is happening. Issei was furious as he hit a tree in the backyard of his house, while a nervous Drake tried to calm him down as the brown-haired boy reached a point where his knuckles began to bleed from the force of his blows, but this mattered little to him, he just wanted to get his fury out. Issei. How could he do this to Tsubaki? He spoke furiously. Greg. Please relax, you don't win anything now, said the dragon trying to calm him down. Issei. But he couldn't continue because a voice spoke behind him. Mike. Hi friend, what's up? Issei. Your hands, but why are your hands bleeding, he said confused. Issei. It's nothing, he said with annoyance. Mike. Hey, what's wrong? Aren't you like this? Why did something happen? Right. He said seriously. Issei. I don't understand, he said seriously while clenching his fists. Mike. What do you mean? He said without understanding. Issei. You, Saji, Gustav and I have suffered for love at some point in our lives, and now I wonder how someone who has a girl who loves you with all her heart is able to be with another, he said furiously. Mike. I don't understand who you were talking about, he said surprised by his friend's words. Issei. I'm talking about Kiba and I know he was a great friend, but now with the information Surzich just gave me, I can't handle this fury inside me, he said angrily. Mike. It's that serious, said the angel in disbelief. Issei. You tell me the other body we found was that of a girl who had an affair with Kiba to the point of having sexual relations, he said angrily. Mike. From my grandfather, he said incredulously. Issei. And that's not the worst, he said angrily. Mike. What could be worse? He said incredulously. Issei. The girl was pregnant and you can find out who it was from, he said seriously. Riaz. That has to be a lie, said Ataras of the boys with his queen. Issei. Riaz. 4 hours later. Student Council, Ku Academy. We can see Sona talking to her entourage talking about their missions and contracts they had, but it could be seen that the brunette was a little thoughtful, something that did not go unnoticed by 2 of her pieces. Sona. And that would be all, you may leave, she said calmly as most of her entourage left, leaving the king alone with those pieces. Saji. Kaichu is fine, he said curiously. Sona. I see you could notice it, she said calmly. Gustav Kaichu, you are very bad at trying to hide your emotions, the boy said somewhat funny. Sona. Yes, very funny, but don't forget who your king is, she said seriously. Saji. If we don't forget, tell us what has you so thoughtful, he said curiously. Sona. Maybe they don't know because Issei kept it quite hidden, and now with what happened I doubt he'll talk about it, she said with her hands on her head. Gustav. What thing, he said curiously like his partner. Sona. One of the schools that will participate in the Battle of the Bands is where Issei's ex-girlfriend studies, and I'm worried that he will lose focus when he sees her, and that will affect him, she said sadly, but at the same time angry when thinking about that bitch. Saji. That's a problem, he said thoughtfully. Gustav. I don't think it's that bad, he said nonchalantly. Sona. And how are you so sure, she said doubtfully. Gustav. Because with the time we've been spending together developing the band project, I've been able to see how he's been leaving behind that pain caused by her, and the proof is that recently Issei met her again and at first he acted a little cowardly by running away, but in the end it was because since it was the first meeting after they broke up, it was normal for him to react in a somewhat peculiar way, but now he's mentally preparing himself in case they ever see each other again, and from what he just told us that will happen soon, he said seriously, while the two present were surprised. Sona. I hope nothing bad happens with Issei. 2 hours later. Hyoudou residence. We can see the Redeed's entourage along with Ravel, Irina and Mike who were still in shock after the brown-haired boy told them everything that the Mao Lucifer had told him, but the brown-haired boy was knocking on the door of a certain crimson girl who won't stop crying and complaining in her room. Riaz. I don't accept it, I don't accept it, I refuse to believe that one of my servants was capable of such a thing, she said very sadly without opening the door to her room. Issei. But I know it's hard to believe, even for me it's very difficult to understand how it was possible that Kiba was able to do something like that, he said sadly. Riaz. But have you ever thought about how Tsubaki will feel when she finds out? She said sadly. Issei. I've thought about it and it also hurts me a lot to think about how she will feel when she finds out. She loved Kiba with all her heart, he said sadly as the Redeed opened the door, seeing the helplessness and pain with which her pawn spoke. Riaz. Tell me Issei, would you be capable of doing something like that? She said sadly. Issei. Of course no, I would never do something like that. When you love a person and they return the same love, the last thing I would try to do is cheat on them, especially since I have suffered for love and would be incapable of hurting someone who truly loves me, he said with a look full of determination that made the Redeed's heart beat fast. Riaz. Oh Issei, she said happily as she slowly approached the brown-haired boy. Issei. But you is fine, he said confused as he watched the Redeed slowly approaching and was about to kiss him. Office. Cough cough, I'm interrupting something, she said seriously while appearing levitating in front of them. Issei. Oh office, he said somewhat nervously while Riaz cursed internally at the appearance of the lowly. Office. Well, I'm interrupting something, she said seriously. Issei. Nothing, he said nervously as he left the place. Office. Something's wrong, Grimory Eris, she said seriously while Riaz looked at her annoyed. Riaz. Nothing, she said seriously entering her room, closing the room. While the lowly internally celebrated her victory by interrupting what seemed to be a possible kiss between Riaz and Issei, in the distance Issei entered his room completely agitated and without knowing what the hell had happened. Issei. Well, because we were going to kiss. A new feeling. Issei was very thoughtful after what happened yesterday, and it was no wonder since he was close to kissing Riaz, something difficult to understand since he made it clear to her and everyone else a long time ago that he didn't want anything with them in the loving sense, but what happened yesterday filled his head with doubts. Issei. How did it happen or why did it happen? He said confused while looking at the ceiling of his room. Greg. What's wrong, buddy? Are you worried about what happened yesterday with your mistress? The curious dragon spoke. Issei. It doesn't bother me, it just confuses me a little that I just stand there doing nothing as if I was waiting for her to kiss me, he said something confusing. Greg. Well, that also surprised me a little. I thought you would tell him something like to stop or that he was thinking, but no, your mind went blank, he said curiously. Issei. And all this makes me feel bad, he said distressed. Greg. Because you don't have a partner, you have every right to have a relationship. I'm not saying that you should immediately throw yourself into the arms of the first person you see, he said thoughtfully. Issei. I'm not saying it for that reason, I'm saying it for the others. They all felt something for me, and it's very likely that they continue to do so. It seems unfair to me that they can't try something with me and leave Butchu with the path clear. Besides, I don't know if it's still too early to open my heart again. I don't want to be hurt again, he said somewhat dejectedly. Greg. I know you're scared, but you've already lived through the experience after what happened, but you have something else in your favor, he said calmly. Issei. What thing? He said curiously. Greg. That any of the girls who love you and manage to conquer you, you will know that she truly loves you, he said calmly, while Issei opened his eyes somewhat amazed. Issei. I think you have he couldn't continue because someone knocked on the door. Asia, Issei-san, breakfast is ready, said the blonde shyly. Issei. Thanks Asia, I'm coming, he said calmly as he got up from his bed and left his room. While this was happening, we can see Redeed finishing getting ready very happily after what happened at night while she couldn't control her blush. Riaz. I can't believe I'm about to kiss my beloved Issei if it weren't for the fault of that stupid Ouroboros who ruined our moment, she said happily but angry at the same time. You know. Calm down, you took a big step last night, proving that he might have feelings for you, she said calmly while reflecting herself in the Redeed's mirror. Riaz. I know he didn't move away at any time, and most likely he also wanted us to kiss, she said very happily. You know. Maybe you're right, but we haven't talked about the fact that your loved one is now being investigated for the murder you committed, she said calmly while playing with her cell phone. Rias. I'm not worried, I have everything figured out, she said happily. You know. Like what? She said curiously. Rias. I will talk to my Oni-sama so that he talks to her and leaves Issei and the boys alone, she said calmly. You know. And if that doesn't work, she said curiously. Rias. I'll kill her very easily. 5 minutes later. We can see the Gremory clan along with Ravel Office, Kuroka and Irina having breakfast quietly. Well, you could see Issei a little uncomfortable since he couldn't see Rias directly, and to top it off she kept looking at him with a big smile. Said smile burned inside a certain Dragoness who was secretly looking at the Gremory. Keno. And well, Issei-kun, how are things going with the songs for this Friday's event? She said curiously while everyone looked at the brown-haired boy. Issei. Well, we have 2 of the 3 songs, but we have to prepare a 4th one, just in case we have to sing as a musical group, he said a little calmer, having everyone's attention, and not just Ria's. Ross. And how the songs go, of course, if I may ask, said the curious albino. Issei. I want it to be a surprise, but I can tell you that one is a somewhat lively rock song, and the other is a much livelier ballad that mixes touches of rock, he said calmly, while trying to remember something else, without realizing that he was writing everything down in some notebooks. Michael knows where they got them from. Hineko. And the other 2 don't have more or less what they will be like, she said curiously. Issei. The truth is that the song we are trying to create regarding the musical group is pop, maybe slow, but with some moving parts, but the other one, I really don't know how it's going to be done, he said calmly. Kuroka. Wow, I see you have a lot of work. I hope everything goes well and you can give your best on stage, Naya, she said happily. Issei. Thank you, and you will see that we will succeed, we will not disappoint you, he said happily as he stood up. Rias. Where are you going? She said curiously. Issei. I'll meet Saji at the music store to see about his bass, he said calmly as he walked to the door and then left. All. See you, they all said happily. Issei. See you later, he said leaving the house. Keno. I think we should talk to Sona-chan to start working on that, she said calmly. Rias. You're right, she said calmly. Irina. I think I'll also call Griselda-sama, since she seemed really excited to help us, she said calmly. Rias. Perfect, so we have to hurry up. A strange being. We can see Mike and Gustav walking through the city somewhat calmly while they talked. It must be said that the black-haired man looked somewhat upset and did not understand exactly why he was there. Gustav. Can you repeat to me the reason why I'm here? He said curiously. Mike. Well, I'm a little embarrassed to say it, he said, lowering his head. Gustav. Come on, say it, he said curiously. Mike. I want to buy Nico a gift, he said nervously, looking away. Gustav. Huh. Wait a second, you like Nico, he said incredulously. Mike. Of course not, he said, blushing. Gustav. And then he said curiously. Mike. It's just to return the present for the necklace, he said nervously. Gustav. I understand, but because I am a boy, you could ask Griselda or someone from the Gremory clan for help, even Kukuri, he said seriously. Mike. I know, boo, but I felt sorry, he said nervously. Gustav. Okay, fine, I'll help you, but we need to work a little on that insecurity you have with certain topics, he said calmly. Mike. Thanks. 45 minutes later. Another side of the city. We can see Issei and Saji leaving the same music store where he bought the instruments the first time, while the blonde was carrying a case where his bass was. Issei. It looks great, doesn't it? He said calmly while Saji opened the case to look at it again. Saji. Yes, it's great, although I don't like that you paid for it, I also have money, he said calmly. Issei. You too, it seems that you are the same, he couldn't continue because he felt a familiar power. Saji. What's wrong, Issei? What's wrong with this power is from, he said incredulously as he felt the same power as the brown-haired boy. Issei Euclid Lucifuge. Back with the wolf and the angel. They were leaving a store talking while the albino was holding a small bag in his hands. Mike. Do you think he'll like it? He said curiously. Gustav. Relax, he's going to love it. I admit that you had good taste in choosing it, he said calmly. Mike. Yes, but if you hadn't thought of going into the store, if it weren't for that we would still be struggling to find something for her, he said calmly. Gustav. The good thing is that we're done, and he couldn't continue because a voice was heard. But look who we have here, the son of the great Michael and the son of the leader of the flea-bitten dogs, said a voice behind the boys. Mike Gustav Euclid Lucifuge, they both said while looking at Graphia's brother and Rizavim's right-hand man. Euclid. What's wrong? It seems like you've seen a ghost, the guy said seriously. Mike. But how is it possible you died in the war, he said confused. Euclid. I'm dying, what a good joke. I survived thanks to the carelessness of that stupid Azazel, although I was very badly injured, but now that I have recovered, I will avenge my Lord Rizavam, starting by killing Michael's son, he said furiously as he launched himself at the albino. Gustav. I won't allow it, he said seriously as he created a barrier and distorted space, taking them out of human sight. Euclid. You think you can stand up to me, you stupid brat? He said seriously while he quickly hit him in the abdomen. Mike. Unhappy, he said seriously as he began to attack with a spear of light. Euclid. Do you think that with your simple spear of light you can win? He could not continue because he saw how the boy seemed to multiply to the point of surrounding him while moving at high speed. Mike. I won't be easy to defeat either, he said seriously as the clones began to approach. Euclid. Illusions, what stupidity, he said seriously while launching a powerful energy wave that destroyed the clones and sent the original flying into a tree. Mike. Ray, he couldn't continue because the silver-haired man appeared in front of him, hitting him in the abdomen with such force that he broke the tree and made the boy spit blood. Euclid. Poor boy, it seems that Michael doesn't take very good care of you, he said amused while taking him by the neck. Gustav. Let go, he said seriously in his wolf form while kicking him in the face. Euclid. Good kick, I admit it hurt a little, he said seriously while wiping a trickle of blood that was dripping from his mouth. Mike. He's very strong, I don't think we can beat him, he said agitatedly while trying to get back up. Gustav. I already know that, but we must resist as long as possible, he said seriously. Euclid. What's happening? Are you scared yet? He said amused. Dragons shoot out of nowhere, a powerful magic attack appeared hitting the silver-haired man. Mike. Issei, he said in amazement as he watched a brown-haired boy arriving with Saji. Issei. We arrived on time, he said seriously as he stood next to his companions. Gustav. A couple of minutes earlier would have been fine, he said seriously. Saji. Don't complain, we also thought it was a joke, he was supposed to be dead. Mike. Well, it's not, he said seriously as they watched a lucifuge emerge from the smoke created by the attack. Euclid. But look who we have here, if it's the great and powerful Sekiryu. You don't know how long I've been waiting for this, he said while summoning his copy of the boosted gear. Issei. TSK, I thought that thing had been destroyed, he said seriously. Euclid. What can I say? I like to invent and create things, he said amused as he began to release power. Issei. Ready, he said seriously while the four of them stood on guard. Euclid. Let's have fun, he said seriously as he charged at them. Saji. Here it comes, he said seriously. Euclid. And as I said, I'll start with that stupid angel, and the silver-haired man began to scream as he fell to the floor while holding his head. Issei. But what the hell, he couldn't continue because a strange voice with melodious music resonated in the place. Gustav. And that music, he said confused. A few seconds later they saw how a strange fog covered the place, modifying the environment, to be exact, behind Euclid, revealing a strange pond from which a rock protruded, but before the boys could react, someone came out of the water and landed on the rock, leaving those present in shock when they discovered who it was. Like Nico. Underworld Gremory Castle. We can see the red-haired Mao sitting in front of the desk fighting against his worst enemy, the one who had brought him more problems than the Trahixa himself, the paperwork, but his fierce fight was interrupted by his wife. Brafia. You called me Surzik, said the curious maid. Surzik. Yes, I want you to go to Ku and talk to Agent Isseei, he said calmly. Brafia. It refers to the agent who investigates the death of that boy from Ria's academy and spoke to us on Parents' Day, she said curiously. Surzik. She seems to be a little obsessed with the idea that Issei and his friends are suspects of what happened, and I want you to talk to her, he said calmly. Brafia. As you wish, she said calmly as she disappeared into a magic circle. Surzik. That's weird because she seemed upset when I said her name. Ice Queen. The four boys looked incredulously at the famous idol who looked like a mermaid, well, the strange melody that for the boys was just that, a melody, while for Grafia's brother, he continued to writhe in pain, and it seemed obvious that the cause was the girl. Nico. Hi guys, she said a little nervously. Like Nico, you are a mermaid, he said incredulously. Nico. Yes, now you can see why I am such a good idol, she said embarrassed. Mike. Now I understand, that's why the first day you arrived at school you could hear what he said incredulously while the girl nodded. Issei. Wait, how did you know we were here? He said curiously. Nico. I followed Mike and Gusta when they met that guy and I entered the transportation circle, she said calmly as she stood up making her tail begin to transform into legs. Gustav. How much do you know about us? He said seriously, surprising his friends. Nico. I know a lot. I know that this territory is under the domain of two demons, Ria's Gremory and Sona Citri. I know that Issei is the Sekiryuite, Saji the bearer of the Dragon King Vitra. You are a werewolf son of the leader of the faction, and Mike is the son of the Overlord of Heaven and grandson of God, he said, seriously surprising the boys even more. Issei. You know a lot, he said, amazed. Gustav. I would say too much, he said, seriously showing some hostility. Mike. Enough, you don't have to be aggressive, besides, she helped us with Euclid and she never tried anything against us, he said seriously. Nico. It's true, besides, I have no intentions against you, and if I informed you it was because I could feel your presence, and I also did it in case you planned to attack me, she said seriously. Mike. We attack you, he said confused. Nico. Well, I say this because I don't know how they would react when they found out what it was, and if the reaction was hostile, he said with a pout. Mike. Well, you have a good point, but don't worry, we would never attack you, especially now that you helped us neutralize an S-rank criminal, he said happily, making the girl blush when she saw the boy's smile. Issei. Speaking of which, we should see what we'll do with him, he said seriously, while the five looked at Euclid, who continued to writhe in pain while blood came out of his ears. Mike. First we should take away his magic power, said the angel seriously. Saji. Well, leave it to me, delete field, he said seriously, throwing a whip of light that wrapped around the lucifuge. Issei. Excellent, let's go to my house so that Riaz can tell Surzich about this, he said seriously, activating a transportation circle. Hyoudou residence. We can see the girls quite busy while they all drew different sketches in notebooks to have the best outfits for the boys at the big event, but a magic circle caught everyone's attention. Riaz. Grafia, what brings you here? She said confused, seeing the silver-haired girl appear out of nowhere. Grafia. Hello Riaz, I came to talk to the investigator who is handling the case of the boy murdered at the academy on your brother's orders, she said calmly. Riaz. I see, she said, surprised to see that it would be Grafia who came instead of her brother. Sona. Grafia, take this, the lady gave me her card in case new things came up at the academy. Here is the address of her office written down, she said calmly, while the silver-haired girl took the card. Grafia. Thank you very much, with your permission I will leave, she said very calmly as she walked out the door. Riaz. It's strange, I thought my brother would come in person, well I guess the paperwork must be a lot, she said calmly. Sona. Riaz, when the paperwork isn't much, the mass spend more time fighting against the paperwork than having a life, she said calmly, while imagining her sister crying on her desk without being able to record her program. Riaz. You're right, but well we have to keep hurrying, we're just finishing the sketches and we still have to make them, she said seriously. Kaneko. Butchu is right, but she forgets that we also have to make Kukuri-san's outfit, she said calmly, while Riaz nodded. Kuroka. I wonder what the rest of the bands that will face Issei Naya will be like, said the curious Nekomata. Sona. It's hard to say since the other schools keep everything related to their band secret, she said thoughtfully. Tsubaki. By the way, this is the 5th time that the academy has participated. What has been the best position that has been achieved? She said curiously. Sona. A 3rd place, she said heavily. Arena. That a 3rd place must be a joke, she said incredulously, like most. Sona. I'm not lying, it's the best the school has achieved, and that was when it was still an academy for women only, she said thoughtfully. Akeno. Well, let's stop thinking about that, besides I know that with the incredible songs that Issei writes, they will be able to win, she said with emotion. Momo. Sorry Akeno, but it's not only Issei who contributes to the band, Gustav also helps a lot, she said somewhat upset. Griselda. Cough cough, they forgot that Mike-san is also there, said the nun a little seriously. Baruko. Saji is there too, she said annoyed. Riaz. Girls, please let's stop arguing about whether everyone, including Kukuri, is indispensable for the group, and she couldn't continue because a magic circle appeared again, but this time the boys and Nico came out. Sona. I say because you used magic with a human present and could not continue because someone spoke. Griselda. Mike-sama, get away from that man, she said seriously, creating a sort of light, and the girls looked at Euclid. Riaz. Impossible, what is he doing alive? She said seriously while everyone was alarmed. Issei. What things know he? Well, we also think that, he said calmly. Mike. Before anything else, Riaz, talk to your brother, this is a serious matter, he said seriously, summoning a circle in his circle. Griselda. I will talk to Michael-sama, she said curiously while the boy nodded. I see. In the meantime we must make sure to retain him. 2 hours later. Q Center. We can see a certain silver-haired maid looking at a rather large building and entering until she reaches one of the offices on the top floor by knocking on the door. Namori. Come in, said the woman as the maid entered. Grafia. Good afternoon, said the maid calmly. Namori. Good afternoon, we've seen each other before, said the woman curiously while looking closely at the maid. Grafia. Yes, we could not continue because the woman spoke. Namori. Oh, I remember, you were the woman who accompanied the red-haired man at Ku Academy the day I went to investigate. Are you related to Ria's Gremory? Said the woman, surprising the maid a little when she saw how much information she had. Rafia is correct, and the red-haired man could not continue because the woman spoke again. Namori. Your boss can be easily guessed by the clothes he wears, and by following him, you even came to talk to me in his place. No, and most likely it was because Miss Gremory spoke to him, but before continuing, can I ask you a question? Is your boss single? She said curiously, causing the maid to clench her fists. Rafia. Because the question, she said curiously, trying to keep her calm. Namori. Well, although it is a problem since he is known by one of the people I am investigating and I should not get involved, I must admit that he is very handsome, she said calmly. Rafia. I think so, she said seriously as she dropped a small magic circle on the floor, making the room soundproof. Namori. Well, yes, and I would be surprised if he was single, but if he was, he would be a great catch, she said calmly. Rafia. I'm sorry to tell you, but he is married, she said a little coldly. Namori. It's really a shame, I guess that woman is not up to his level, she said disgusted. Rafia. Damn you, screamed furiously as she created an ice dagger, causing a serious cut on the woman. Rafia. Let's have fun. Ice madness. We can see what seemed to be some kind of strange dungeon where vision was very poor for a normal person, since for supernatural beings vision will not be complicated, but out of nowhere, several torches began to light up, increasing visibility, revealing a purple-haired woman chained by the arms with a somewhat large wound on her chest, who was slowly beginning to regain consciousness. Namori. Where am I? She said confused, trying to free herself, but it was useless, the chains were extremely strong. Rafia. Wow, until you wake up, said the silver-haired girl as she came out of nowhere and walked until she was in front of her. Namori. You said angrily. Rafia. Hey, no, why are you so angry? Don't you see that I brought you here to have fun? She said happily while taking out a knife. Namori. What are you going to do? She said nervously, seeing the knife in the silver-haired girl's hands. Rafia. Didn't I just tell you to have fun? She said with a macabre smile, placing the knife right in front of the purple-haired girl's face. Before the woman could react, the maid furiously plunged the knife into the woman's shoulder with such force that it went through the woman's body and into the wall, causing the woman to scream in pain. Namori. A damn psychopath, the woman screamed desperately while Rafia slowly turned the knife, making the pain more intense. Rafia. It's always the same, she said coldly while looking at the woman who was watching the silver-haired girl with one eye covered, but with a face full of hate. Namori. What are you talking about? He said without understanding. Rafia. You are not the first bitch to notice my husband like you, there were many more, and none of them lasted long enough to entertain me, she said amused, changing her face again, showing her macabre laugh while holding the knife. Namori. How many have you killed, you damn crazy woman? She said hysterically while Rafia smiled. Rafia. Enough for you to know that you won't get out alive, she said seriously. Namori. You're crazy if you think I'm going to stay without doing anything, she said seriously, trying to get up. Rafia. You wouldn't be here if it weren't for your stupidities, but bitches don't understand, they don't understand. Surzich is mine and no one else's, did you hear my bitch, she said euphorically, while her leg was covered in ice, and on the sole of her foot, an ice shoe was formed with an extremely sharp ice heel, beginning to savagely step on the woman's legs, who only began to scream in pain. Rafia. I must stop wasting my time with you, bitch, she said seriously as she created a kind of ice axe, and with one blow she cut off the woman's head, making a fountain of blood flow from her neck that violently spurted out, covering the entire room. Rafia. Ha 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 ha, this is always the best, ha 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 ha, the woman laughed maniacally as she looked at the blood on her hands. Rafia. Oh, look at the time, I have to see how the dinner preparations are going. 30 minutes later. Hyoudou residence. We can see the three biblical leaders completely incredulous as they could not believe that before their eyes was Euclid, one of the most dangerous enemies they had ever had, and they believed dead, but now he was captured and unconscious in front of them. Surzich. All this time he was watching, he said in disbelief. Michael. Understand how dangerous this was, he could have attacked us by surprise at any moment, taking us off guard, he said seriously. Azazel. You're right, and the worst thing is that if he tried, according to your son, what he was looking for was to kill him to hurt you, he said seriously, while Michael looked somewhat worried at his son. Michael. What I still don't fully understand is how they were able to stop him so easily. I understand Issei's power, but if he had a new copy of Issei's boosted gear, this would be very difficult, even for him, he said doubtfully, looking at the four boys. Mike. It's actually a bit surprising the way we defeated him, and that's because he couldn't continue because Issei interrupted him. Issei. We didn't defeat him, she did, he said calmly, pointing at Nico. Girls. She said, all the women in unison, surprised except Griselda. She said it with annoyance. Sizich. Miss Nico, she defeated Rizovim's right-hand man, he said, surprised. Mike. Yes, because she is a mermaid, he said seriously. Everyone, Nico and the boys. A mermaid, they screamed in surprise. Griselda. That explains everything, said the serious woman, capturing everyone's attention. Mike. What are you talking about, Griselda, he said curiously. Griselda. She owes all of her success as an idol to her siren voice, since she can use it to persuade people, she said seriously. Nico. That's a lie, I never needed my powers to become an idol, said the offended girl. Griselda. Yes, of course, why shouldn't we believe you? She said seriously. Nico. I'm not going to stay here to be offended and have my career questioned, said the girl, sadly trying to hold back her tears as she left the house. Mike. Nico, wait, he said worriedly, going after her. Michael. Mike, wait, he couldn't continue because Azazel stopped him. Azazel. Leave it to us to see this problem, he said seriously as he watched Euclid begin to wake up. Michael. I think you're right. Who streets? We can see the idol running sadly, trying to hold back the urge to cry, but before crossing a street she was grabbed by the arm, causing her to stop suddenly. Mike. Nico, please stop, he said, somewhat agitated from running. Nico. Please Mike, let me go, he said without looking at his face. Mike. I won't do it until you calm down, he said seriously. Nico. I'm not going to calm down when someone defames my work by insinuating that my career is a lie, he said helplessly. Mike. I don't think your career is a lie, and just by seeing your reaction I know that you have worked hard to get to where you are, he said with his kind tone of voice. Nico. You really believe that, he said happily. Mike. Sure, he said happily. Nico. Thank you, she said excitedly, hugging the boy tightly. Mike. Oh hey, relax, he couldn't continue because he felt a strange sensation. Nico. You know, I don't understand why we fought when we met, she said, embarrassed, remembering that she was the one who started the conflict. Mike. Maybe it was just because I criticized you, but all is forgiven, he said happily. Nico. If all is forgiven. Among the shadows. Days have passed since what happened with Euclid, where he was locked in the underworld, suffering repeated torture to get all the information he had stored, and the boys could concentrate on their music without any problem, since Urzich had told Riaz that Grafia had spoken to the researcher, and they had fixed all kinds of misunderstandings that arose around Issei and company. No longer being under investigation. Now Issei and the others had something in mind, and it was the musical event that would be the next day. Music club. Issei. I can't believe it's tomorrow, he said a bit nervously. Kukuri. Don't worry, we'll do it right. We've worked very hard. The girl wrote with a big smile. Mike. You're right, I know they have more experience than us, but if we make no mistakes we could win, he said animatedly. Issei. Maybe so, but I'm nervous about the fact that our classmates at the academy don't support us because I used to be a pervert, he said nervously. Saji. Maybe the boys, but the girls, seeing you with your new look and the fact that you stopped hanging out with those idiots, they already see you in a very different way, he said calmly while looking at some scores. Gustav. It's true, but the boys will probably support us with everything except for two imbeciles, he said, amused. Issei. Yes, I think I have to relax, he said calmly while checking his things. Mike. You forgot something, he said curiously. Issei. Yes, my notebook where I have the new song, I think it's in the occult club, I'll go get it, he said calmly as he left the place. Saji. It seems that he is the one who can hide his nerves the least, right? He said a little nervously while the others nodded. Mike. We can't show nervousness or else he'll get worse. While the boys continued talking, the brown-haired boy calmly came down from the second floor, regretting a little for how absent-minded he was, but was taken out of his thoughts when he tripped and fell, alarmed to see that he was falling on someone he didn't have time to recognize. Issei. I'm sorry, Sona Kai-Chao, he said nervously, remaining static as he saw how his face and Sona's were just a few centimeters away, to the point that any slight forward movement of the two would cause them to kiss. Sona. I see, she said softly while trying to control herself as her head and a certain person in her head were screaming at her to kiss him wildly. Issei. Sorry, I was thinking about other things and I didn't notice, he said embarrassed and blushing, helping the brunette to get up. Sona. Don't worry, accidents happen, she said trying to control her blush. Issei. Yes, you're right, by the way, with all the work we've had for tomorrow, I haven't been able to thank you for the cookies you made, they were very tasty, he said calmly. Sona. Really, I speak super red. Issei. Yes, I don't understand, according to what he said, he cooks very badly, but the cookies tasted delicious, he said calmly. Sona. Well, the truth is that I have taken classes, and one person has helped me a lot, she said, very happy to know that her loved one loved what she did for him. Issei. I'm glad, well I have to hurry, the boys are waiting for me, he said, nervously realizing that he was going somewhere else, leaving in a hurry. Sona. Issei, why didn't I kiss you? 5 hours later. Hyoudou residence. We can see Riaz and the rest of the girls very happy since in front of them there were 15 outfits, 12 for boys and 3 for girls, with different colors and designs, but you could see the great effort and dedication that had been put into each one, since the details were surprising. Riaz. Excellent job girls, you're ready, she said proudly for the work. Akeno. I thought we would never end, she said happily. Griselda. I can't wait until tomorrow to see Mike-san in these outfits, she said happily. Kaneko. I hope senpai likes it, she said happily, eating a sweet. Irina. He probably loves them, she said excitedly while everyone imagined the boys showing them affection. Riaz. Well, with everything ready, we have to leave them at the club to give them to the academy, she said calmly while activating a magic circle, making the outfits disappear. Tsubaki. By the way, the stage and stands are already ready, she said curiously. Sona. The stage is already there, and the stands, as far as I was informed, were at 75%, I suppose everything will be ready for tomorrow, she said nonchalantly. Riaz. I just hope everything goes well for the boys and for Issei. Who streets. We can see Issei walking through the city immersed in his thoughts, since what would happen tomorrow would be his first step to becoming a great band, but obviously he was not alone, since his faithful companion was there to support him. Greg. They'll do it right, don't worry, he said calmly. Issei. Do you really believe that? I know that they have tried their best, and I am afraid of failing and ruining their effort, he thought uneasily. Greg. Issei, you have also tried hard and it is normal to feel fear, we have all had it at some point, but the important thing is to face it with determination and show that we can overcome it, and you have shown me that you have mastered your fears, or will you tell me that facing the Trihexa was something you did without fear, he said amused. Issei. No, in fact I was very scared, but I knew I had to fight and emerge victorious not only for myself, but also for Riaz, the others, and all those who have supported me, he spoke calmly while looking at the dusk that was taking place. Greg. There you are, you faced this because there were people you cared about protecting, and now you have people who trust you just as you trust them, he said seriously. Issei. You're right and I can't let them down. The brown-haired boy did not realize that there were 2 people watching him from different angles, but it was obvious that those who were watching him did not know of the other's presence because they were only limited to looking at the brown-haired boy. Digi, I can't wait to talk to you, Issei, I hope you want a second date. So this is the current wielder of Drag, the strongest Sekiryuite that is interesting. The next day. Your academy. We can see the school completely decorated and behind it we could see a huge tent implying that the event would be closed while Issei and company were at the entrance quite nervous with the Gremory and Citri clan as well as Nico. Riaz. Are you ready? She said excitedly. Issei. More or less, he said nervously. Akeno. Come on guys, you can do it, said the happy Himejima. Issei. Yes Akeno, we will do our best, could not continue because Sona spoke. Sona. Rival schools arrived. The great adversity. Issei and company looked at each other quite nervously when they saw how the 3 rival schools were at the entrance, but when they saw them, they got a little confused when they saw how the people from those schools supported a large number of people, more than normal for a band. Issei. Are we wrong, or instead of a battle of bands it is a battle of orchestras, he said without understanding. Sona. I don't know, she said without understanding like the rest. A pleasure, you must be Sona Citri. No, said a blonde girl making a blonde man tense up. Saji. Mommy-chan, said the boy, drawing everyone's attention. Mommy. Excuse me, we met Saji, it's you, said the girl incredulously while the boy trembled. Issei. Saji friend, are you okay, he said confused. Sona. If it's me who needs it, she said curiously. Mommy. Perfect, let me introduce myself. My name is Nanami Mommy, and I am the president of the student council of the Yum private school, and I would like to know where the changing rooms of my school will be, she said calmly. Sona. Yes, human, they are in the gym is behind the stage, she said, checking her papers. Mommy. Thank you very much, she said calmly as she left with her group of people in her school. Gustav. Saji left, who is she, he said curious. Saji. She was my girlfriend, he said nervously, leaving everyone in shock. Issei. You're kidding, and couldn't continue because a boy spoke. Excuse me miss, I just heard that you are Sona Citri. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tom Seri, and I am the president of the student council of the Ku Youth Institute for Young Talents, and I was told that you were the person who had the information on where we should be located, said Kiryu's boyfriend, causing an angry look from Nico and nervousness from Mike. Sona. Yes, you are in the arts club next to the gym, she said calmly. Mike. It's him, he said in a slight whisper. I appreciate it, he said calmly as he left the place with his people. Sato. So you are the one who gives directions to school. It's a pleasure to introduce myself. I am Sato Mayan, and I am the president of the student council of the Ku Institute of Arts, said the boy flirtatiously while Issei and his group recognized the name, and he was seething with fury when he saw that he was the guy his ex-girlfriend had traded him for. Sona. Yes, of course, it's in the arts club to the left of the stage, she said calmly. Sato. I appreciate it, he said calmly. Issei. It's him, he said seriously, but before anyone could speak everyone saw Issei's ex pass by. Bremery Sona Rina Ravel. That damn thing, they thought angrily. Issei. What a problem, no Saji, your ex and mine are in the same place, right? He said with a forced smile. Gustav. Come on, don't lose your spirits, he couldn't continue because a voice spoke. Gustav Bizarria, said a girl, making the black-haired man turn around. Gustav. Irina, he said with his eyes open, seeing a girl with purple hair and green eyes. Irina. Hello, how long? Said the girl while smiling at him, causing discomfort to a certain couple of girls, but no one noticed that the boy began to tremble. Gustav. Yes, quite a lot, he said nervously. Irina. I never thought I'd see you again, but we'll talk later. I have to go, bye. She said calmly as she left with her school. Issei. And she is, he said curiously. Gustav. The girl from high school I told you about, he said trembling. Issei. That sounds wonderful. Please, where is our space? I think we should calm down, he said nervously. Sona. In the occult club, she said, distressed to see them like that. Issei. Thank you. So the boys left, leaving the girls very distressed, since 3 of them would have their exes present at the event, and the other had the guy who was dating the girl who hurt his heart, but they couldn't be with them, since they had to wait for their families to support the boys. The cult club. We can see how the door closed, and everything was left in an awkward silence as no one spoke. Everyone except Kukuri looked at the floor, while the girl was somewhat sad to see her classmates like that, and she couldn't do anything to help lift their spirits. Issei. What twists and turns of life, huh? He said, trying to get the others to talk. Gustav. I can't go out, he said nervously. Issei. What the hell are you talking about? He said confused while everyone looked at him. Gustav. I can't, my body doesn't respond to me, see I don't know how to see her, said the boy with fear, something rare for him. Issei. What are you talking about? You're going to leave us alone, he said angrily. Gustav. Issei. He couldn't continue because Issei hit him and sent him to the ground. Issei. How can you act like this, you who always told us to move on, that what happened with them no longer had to affect us, and now you come out with this, he shouted furiously while grabbing the boy by the shirt. Mike. Issei. No, he couldn't continue because the brown-haired boy spoke. Issei. We are all scared too, my ex and Sajis are here, and the idiot that bitch Kiryu is with too, it's normal that we are scared for them, but now more than ever is our chance to show all our effort and above all overcome our fears, and show that what they did to us made us stronger, he said seriously, while the black-haired man lay on the ground. Kukuri. I support you, she showed her sign very excitedly. Issei. A long time ago you told me that friends support each other in good times and bad, and that if you fall they will always be there to help you get up, so come on, stand up, and together we will show what supernatural can do, he said with determination while stretching out his hand. Gustav. Let's do it, he said raising his face and taking the brown-haired boy's hand. Saji. Let's not let the academy down, he said seriously, putting his hand with his companion's. Mike. The effort the girls put into the gift can't be in vain, he said calmly, as he and Kukuri joined hands with the boys. Issei. What gift? He said confused like his companions. Mike. That one, he said behind him pointing at some mannequins with clothes. Issei. That's it. 20 minutes later. We could see the huge stage with a huge crowd, it was clear that there was not even room for a soul, all the schools and families supporting the groups that had not yet come out, and the people were excited. Hello everyone, welcome to the school music band. I am your presenter, Hatsune Miku, said a blue-haired girl on stage. Miku. I present to the judges of this great event the #1 DJ in all of Japan, Sona, she said, while the girl pointed to a woman in a somewhat futuristic suit. Miku. The great idol who dominates Japan and Korea with her group Ari, she said excitedly. Miku. And last but not least, the vocalist of the #1 band in an I'm openings flow, a round of applause, Kigo Hayashi, she said calmly pointing at the blue-haired boy. Miku. With them in their places I introduced the groups first to the Ku Arts Institute, she said excitedly while her school kept screaming. Miku. Then we have the human private school, she said, while the support was not long in coming. Miku. Then there is the Youth Institute for Young Talent, she said calmly. Well, it was clear that it was a very supportive school. Miku. And finally the locals, Ku Academy, she said calmly. Well, a great ovation was present as the boys went up on stage. These are their outfits. Miku. With everyone present, let's see who will go first. The event begins. Everyone was euphoric and ready for the big musical event that would take place at the Ku Academy. Obviously our protagonist was quite nervous since it was his first performance, and it was very important that everything was done well, but that was not all, since as icing on the cake, the boys' exes were present, some supporting their classmates, and in one specific case she was a participant. Issei. Are you ready, he said nervously. Mike. More or less, he said a bit nervously while the others nodded. Miku. Well, it's time to start, and for this first round we will have a special edition, she said amused, confusing everyone. Issei. What will it be, he thought nervously. Miku. The participants of this round will not be able to go out complete, that is, they have to leave out one or more members. The number is their choice, and the presentation will be as a musical group idol, she said seriously while reading a paper. Everyone was speechless because that rule was super strange, but the doubt that the members of the Ku Academy had the most was that since their group was the smallest, now they would have to sing with at least 4. Miku. With all that said, let's see who the first school will be, and it will be the Ku Art Institute, said the woman, while showing a paper, making a purple-haired girl in a gothic outfit come to the front. Yukina. My name is Minato Yukina, representative of the group, and in this presentation 5 of the 8 members will not participate, she said seriously, while 3 of them came to the front. Curiously, among the 3 was the black-haired man's ex. Miku. I see that you are ready, we will give you your space, but do you have a name for this kind of subunit? She said curiously while the rest of the bands left the stage. The 3. Arise, they said happily as the music started. Issei. Damn, how gullible we were, he said seriously, confusing his companions. Mike. Issei, what's up, he said curiously. Issei. The other schools knew or suspected about that round, he said seriously. Mike. What are you talking about? He said confused. Issei. That's why there are so many in each band, because they are 2 groups, 1 band and 1 idol group, he said seriously, surprising the boys. Mike. That's why there was a big difference between us and them, he said surprised. Saji. If that is true, we are at a disadvantage since those who belong to the band do not make an effort, instead we will be in the 3 presentations. Mike. Hey Gustav, so quiet on this topic, maybe he couldn't continue because they saw how the black-haired man continued watching the group's presentation without taking his eyes off a certain idol. Issei. Gustav, are you okay, he said worried, thinking that his friend would suffer another panic attack. Gustav. Why did he have to appear now? He said with a little anger. Issei. Don't worry, we can do it and you'll see what you missed, he said happily. Gustav. Thank you, and we don't have to worry about the little cheat they do, he said calmly. Issei. Why so sure, he said curiously. Gustav. I checked them carefully and they are all normal humans, but we are not. Have you forgotten that our resistance is greater and the only human is Kukuri, and she will not participate in this round, so there is nothing to worry about, he said a little calmly. Mike. It's true how clueless we were, he said incredulously. Saji. Well, that solves our problem, and what song will we sing, he said curiously. Issei. The idler group songs that we have are egoistic or worldwide and both require the same outfit. He said quickly while they were going to change, but with their speed, it didn't take long since they were just in time since the first presentation ended. Miku. A round of applause for the group Issei, she said calmly, while all the spectators applauded. Miku. Now the next group is the host's Ku Academy, she said excitedly, while the entire academy screamed in excitement, especially a group of girls seeing them in their outfits that were now white. Left Mike, center up Issei, center down Saji, right Gustav. Issei. How lucky, he said nervously as they went out on stage meeting the previous group. Arena. I hope you liked my presentation, she said in a flirtatious way, causing a shiver in the boy. Miku. Are you ready, guys? She said happily. Issei. Sure, he said a little nervously. Miku. Well, before starting, you have to spin this wheel to see what song you get, since as the hosts, you have to sing a song with a specific theme, she said happily, making the boys more nervous since they didn't know what they could get and they only had 2 songs. Issei. Let it be something good, he thought nervously while spinning the wheel. Miku. Well, your theme is love, she said excitedly, leaving the boys in disbelief since it was the worst thing for them in life. Issei. How wonderful, he said a little nervously when he, Mike and Saji could see certain people in the audience. Miku. Oh, it seems like he or she has special people in the audience, she said curiously. Issei. Yes, but we can't say their names, he said firmly, surprising many including his group since they didn't understand why he had said it, causing a little anger in certain girls, thinking that Issei had a secret girlfriend. Miku? I see what the name of your group or subunit is, she said curiously. Issei. The whole band is called Supernatural, he said calmly as the girl left and the music started. Issei Gustav Mike Saji Todos. Wait a minute before you tell me. Anything about how your day was? Because I've been missing you by my side, yes. Did I wake you up from your dreams? I'm sorry but I couldn't sleep. You calm me down, there's something in the sound of your voice. Never, never. I'm never as far away as you seem. We'll be together soon. We'll pick up right where we left off. Paris, London, Tokyo. There's only one thing I have to do. Hello, tuck you in every night on the phone. Hello, tuck you in every night. And I can barely bear another goodbye. Darling, it won't be long. You're the one I'm waiting for. Hello, tucking you in every night on the phone. Girl, I'll be thinking of you. All over the world, all over the world, all over the world. Girl, I'll be thinking of you. All over the world, all over the world, all over the world. Girl, I'll be thinking about you. All over the world, all over the world, all over the world. Girl, I'll be thinking about you. All over the world, all over the world, all over the world. Girl, I'll be thinking about you. All over the world. Yes, I might meet a million beautiful girls who know my name. But you don't worry. No, because you have my heart. The power of the band. Issei and company finished their song, causing a huge ovation from the audience since that song was very beautiful and even more so its meaning, and those who couldn't stop crying were the girls who loved them since they imagined that that song was written for them. Miku. What a beautiful song, she said wiping away her tears. Issei. Thank you very much, he said while the four bowed. Miku. Let's go to the judges, we start with Miss Ari, she said calmly. Ari. What can I say, beautiful, very beautiful. This song has a slow, calm tone with a little intensity, very much in keeping with their clothes that look great on them, she said calmly, while the girls celebrated seeing how their outfits were praised. Miku. Okay, we'll continue with you, Kigo, she said calmly. Kigo. Sublime presentation on your part, guys, but I would like to ask, the song apart from being clearly related to a girlfriend, I would like to know if you have suffered for love as such, since that last part where it says no. Because you have my heart shows a deep feeling of taking care of that love, that no matter what happens when going on tour around the world, you will only have one girl, your girl in your heart, he said seriously, while the atmosphere felt tense and the boys only tensed a little. Mike. Well, I can answer, he said raising his hand looking at his classmates. Issei. Sure, he said confused. Mike. Well, the truth is that if you could say that we suffer for love in the case of my friends, those people did not know how to appreciate them, and in my case, well, I didn't even have the opportunity to show my love, and well, for the song we want to show that our partner should not be afraid that we will value their love and they don't have to worry, because if we are with them, it is because we love them, he said calmly, causing a huge wave of applause, while a nun and an idol shed tears of joy. The Kanimami Arena Kiryu. He must be referring to me, they thought doubtfully while looking at the boy. Celeste. And you thought that being in a band would be bad for our son, said the woman amused. Michael. I was very wrong, he said with a smile. Miku. Well, they were Supernatural and Ku Academy, she said happily as the boys left the stage. Saji. I can't believe we did it, he said nervously. Issei. Hold me, my legs are shaking, he said nervously while Mike and Gustav held him. Gustav. Mike, what a great answer, he said happily. Mike. I really just said what my heart felt, he said nervously. Fukuri. Guys, you were amazing, showed the sign while hugging the black-haired boy while they were watched by the group that passed before them, causing discomfort to a certain girl. Gustav. Thank you, we gave our best, he said happily, returning the hug. Issei. Hopefully with it we can move on to the next round. So the boys were able to take a little break while they relaxed and watched the performances of the other two remaining groups. Miku. Well, that was the first round. The truth is that it was a pretty good round. The four academies gave their best, but it's time to see who will be the first to be eliminated, so I ask the four schools to come forward, she said calmly as the groups passed by. Issei. How nervous, he said nervously. Miku. Well, here is the envelope with the scores given by our judges and the school that came in first place, and the first to qualify for the next round is Human Private School, she said excitedly, while the aforementioned schools exploded in excitement and they celebrated. Saji. Yes, they did well, he said a little nervously. Miku. Well, now I will say the third place that was in this position 1 point above the fourth place 1 point, and it is the Ku Arts Institute, she said very excitedly, distressing Riaz and the group of women. Gustav. Quarters or seconds, he said nervously. Mike. How helpless it would be to lose by 1 point, he said nervously. Miku. And the last place for the next round, which was second place, is Ku Academy amusing scream as the school exploded in excitement while those mentioned were in disbelief. Gustav. We move on to the next round, he said while the five of them hugged each other. Miku. The standings were first place with 29 points, second place with 27, third place with 25, and fourth place with 24. We are very sorry, Youth Institute of Young Talents, but they were the ones who came in fourth place, she said calmly, while those mentioned received applause from the audience. Kiryu. Damn, they lost, she said a little angry seeing her boyfriend and her school lose in the first round. Miku. Well, the scores become steel, and the rules change as the bands bring out their power in this, and the third round the points will be added, and whoever does it will be the winner. Are you ready? She said seriously looking at the three remaining schools. Issei. Okay guys, we've already moved on to the next round, we shouldn't give up, he said seriously. Miku. Let's see who will open the second round, and it will be the host, she said seriously showing a paper where it said Ku Academy. Issei.it had to be, he said amused. Miku. You have 5 minutes to get ready, good luck, she said seriously as the boys left the stage and went to the club changing into their outfits that they used first while they went over their next performance. Saji. What will it be? He said curiously. Issei. Number 4, he said seriously. Gustav. Are you sure that Kukuri hasn't practiced much with the synthesizer? He said nervously. Issei. I think you're in for a big surprise, he said amused while the girl nodded. Gustav. Okay, he said curiously. Saji. Hey, fireworks and all that stuff, he said curiously. Issei. Everything is ready as Azazel took over, by the way Mike, I want you to sing the first part, he said seriously. Mike. What, he said incredulously. Issei. If it's calmer and your angel voice fits perfectly, he said calmly. Mike. If you say so. So the boys went up on stage again, being applauded by everyone and supported by their friends and family, as well as the crazy girls in love with them. Miku. Go ahead. Issei. Ah. Mike. I once touched your heart. Held you in my arms closed. I built a shelter for your love. Until I let you fall. Please forgive me. Say Gustav. Saji. God, I miss you like hell. I was wrong, I can say. Cause the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain. Every night, every day. As I read those letters you wrote to me. How I long for the time. Issei. Yeah. Issei. My sad heart beats weakly. Your absence weakens me. And if nothing brings you back, I will surely wander through life in black. Like a shadow. Issei. Gustav. Saji. God, I miss you like hell. I was wrong, I can say. Cause the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain. Every night, every day. As I read those letters you wrote to me. How I long for the time. When your lips would kiss mine. And the promise would remain unbroken. I'll wait for tomorrow. That can never come. I'll wait in the name of love. Issei. I would die for the sake of mercy. Fate, is this how it should be? No, no, no. Issei. God, I miss you like hell. I was wrong, I can say. Cause the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain. Every night, every day. Well, I read those letters you wrote to me. Issei. Gustav. Saji. God, I miss you like hell. I was wrong, I can say. Cause the heart can be blind and frozen. Now I live with the pain. Every night, every day. As I read those letters you wrote to me. How I long for the time. When your lips would kiss mine. And the promise would remain unbroken. I'll wait for tomorrow. That can never come. I'll wait in the name of love. Issei. Yeah. The end of the event. The entire audience was bursting with excitement after the boys' performance, which had had quite an impact since they left behind their image of good kids and showed off a very strong rock. Miku. Incredible, what a way to start the second round, said the excited woman, increasing the applause of the boys. Kigo. I am speechless, that was rock, young vocalist, what a voice, that incredible scream is the only thing I can say, he said with his hands on his face. Miku. Thank you for your words, we're going with you, Sona, said the woman looking at the DJ. Sona. First of all, I'm envious of the girls who have girlfriends, what beautiful songs they're playing, but as for the performance, it was sensational, that beginning with a scream that shakes you when you feel the force that you put into it, and from one moment to the next, that change to the drummer who undoubtedly has a beautiful angelic voice, she said happily, exciting the angels present. Miku. Thanks for your words guys, let's go backstage and have the next band come. So the boys left the place very excited while they gave way to the next band, which was where the brown-haired man's ex and the black-haired man's ex were, something that they cared very little about since the emotion got the better of them and they stopped thinking about them. Issei. Okay guys, that was great, he said while the five of them high-fived. Mike. I can't believe it, it turned out better than I thought, he said happily. Gustav. Yes, but we must remain calm. We still have a presentation left. We must give our best, he said with determination. Kukuri. What song will we sing, she said curiously, showing the poster. Saji. She's right, which one will we play to finish, he said curiously. Issei. I have the perfect song to end with a flourish. In the stands. We can see all the girls in love with the boys as well as their parents and Azazel talking while the new band was getting ready. Michael. Wow, these guys are amazing, he said in disbelief. Surzich. I never thought they had that potential, he said in amazement. Celeste. Although I wonder if it's true that the boys have girlfriends. Mike never told us anything, said the woman calmly, receiving a look from the leaders and the rest of the parents, but without realizing it, angering many girls. Riaz. I want to know if that's true. I want to know when that bitch approached Issei, she said angrily. Sona. I don't think that's true, they just said it to provoke those bitches, she said calmly, but inside she was furious. Irina. I think Sona is right, the stupid girl like us saw how that idiot school lost, and now she wants to support our poor bitch, she said seriously. Zenobia. It's true, I don't think they have it, or if they do, she said nervously. Office. He doesn't have a girlfriend, neither of them. The proof is that they have been very involved in the band. They only had that small setback when the Gremory Knight died. After that, the band has taken up most of their time, she said seriously. Lucy. Calm down, you'll see that it's true, she said in her mind, while the lowly felt a pang in her chest. Office. I hope so. 10 minutes later. In the occult club. We can see the boys changing to be ready for their next performance. It was clear that this was the performance they had to do better in order to win, but it was also a bit of nerves that they had, since they had to not ruin this moment. Saji. Guys, we'll close the last round, he said seriously as he entered through the door. Mike. Why? He said curiously. Saji. The second round just ended and for the third round the order of the presentations was reversed, those who finished start and those who started finish, he said as he began to change. Gustav. That gives us a little more time, he said as calmly as he could, while the black-haired girl nodded. Issei. That's good, he said thoughtfully. Greg. What's up, buddy? I notice you're pensive. You weren't like this a few minutes ago. He said, curious. Issei. It's nothing, Drake, I just don't know why volley came to my mind, he thought curiously. Greg. I understand that it's been a long time since we saw the white man. We only knew from the Nekomata that they were on vacation, he said calmly. Issei. I know, but I don't know, there's something that doesn't let me be calm, he said thoughtfully. Greg. It's nerves because the event is almost over, they will do it calmly, he said calmly. Issei. I think you're right, I have to calm down. As the leader of the band, I can't be like this, he said, breathing deeply. Greg. That's how you talk, he said proudly. Issei. Ready, guys. 7 minutes later. Behind the scenes. Issei. Wow, you did amazing, he said calmly, watching his rivals finish their performance. Gustav. Everyone wants to win and we can't be the exception, he said calmly. Issei. You're right, he said excitedly. Saji. Then let's give it our all, he said determinedly. And yes. Miku. And now we make way for the host school to meet the winning band, a big round of applause for the locals, Ku Academy, she said seriously as the boys passed by. The boys entered their school to a standing ovation, displaying some rather striking red costumes that thrilled a certain group who tried hard to hold them. Miku. Alright guys, the stage is all yours. Girl, it's been too long. That we've been apart. Too long for a man who needs love. I've missed you since I've been away. Baby, it wasn't easy leaving you alone. It's getting harder every time I leave. If I had the chance, I would stay. No one like you. I can't wait for the nights with you. I imagine the things we'll do. I just want to be loved by you. Miku. Amazing, she shouted as the applause didn't take long to come, even the 3 judges were standing up applauding, while the boys just bowed in gratitude. Issei. It seems that they like me. Unknown location. We can see a silver-haired man lying at the entrance of a cave where he looked completely ill, although the causes were not what one would expect. Albion. Volley, please think things over better, said the distressed dragon. Volley. Tell me what's the point of continuing to live, he said with depression. Albion. I know you're going through a difficult time, but you can move on. I know those bastards also lied to you and don't deserve to call you a friend, but there's also Hyoudou. He's your friend, why don't you talk to him? He said nervously while Volley took out a bottle. Volley. Issei, he'll tell me how good Vita is with his girlfriend, haha, what a good joke Albion, now we'll see how long it takes to kill a drop of Samuel's blood, he said as he lifted the vial and let the drop fall on his head. Albion. Don't do it. A victory with a bitter taste. We can see how the 3 remaining bands went up on stage after finishing the performances, and it was time to see who was the winner of this event. Everyone was nervous, but not only the members of each band, but each school was in the same situation. Miku. Well, tonight has been full of emotions where the three schools have given everything to win, but it will be enough. Let's see which school takes the trophy, she said excitedly, while pointing to a place where the trophy was. Miku. Well, here is the envelope with the score, she said excitedly. Issei. The time has come, he said nervously. Mike. Come on, we can't be disappointed no matter what happens, we gave our best, right? He said calmly. Gustav. I'm with him, we gave our best, he said calmly. Saji. Well, let's see what happens, he said calmly. Miku. Here we go, we will start with the third place, and with 50 points it is human private school, she said forcefully, surprising everyone. Issei. Wow, at least we improved the school's position, he said calmly. Saji. True, the best was third place, he said calmly. Miku. Now we will say the winner. It should be said that the first place had 59 points, almost two perfect performances, while the second place had 54 points, she said excitedly. Issei 5 points was fraud, he said calmly. Miku, and the winning school is Ku Academy, right, making the excitement in the students explode. Issei. We won, he said incredulously. Saji. We won, he said excitedly as the five hugged each other. Rias. Yes, they won, she said excitedly while all the girls jumped with excitement. Michael. They are amazing, he said while hugging his wife as they looked at their son. Issei. Yes, we win, he shouted excitedly as he took the trophy and raised it with his teammates. Gustav. This deserves a celebration. 2 hours later. Hyoudou residence. We can see the band members, their parents, the leaders and the Gremory and Citri entourages, while everyone toasted and celebrated the boys' victory. Issei. Don't laugh, we all did our part to win, he said happily while talking to his king. Surzich. And tell us what will happen now, will you see the band as a serious project now that it seems that they have potential, he said curiously. Issei. The truth is that we would like to launch the band on a professional level, but we should do that when we finish high school, he said doubtfully. Michael. But what will happen with the university studies, he said curiously. Mike. We had already thought about that, and technology has reached a point where we could do it online, but there is still a year left. I guess that is enough time to know how we are going to act, he said calmly, while his companions nodded. Azazel. Wow, such sensible guys, I like the way they think, he said calmly. Issei. Yes, he couldn't continue because everyone felt the power of the hacker Yuiku, but what surprised most was that the energy was different. Michael. That power was, he said confused. Issei, the one from Albion. After saying that, the leaders and the boys disappeared into a magic circle, leaving the girls alone in the house, but they didn't realize that a dragon who was with them had also left. Unknown location. We can see how the drop of Samuel's blood fell on the silver-haired man, so that he immediately began to writhe in pain, but a few seconds later the leaders along with the boys appeared in front of him. Issei. Volley screamed worriedly as he went to help him. Office. No, Issei, don't come closer, she said seriously, appearing in front of him. Issei. Why? He said upset. Albion. Volley Red emptied himself of some of Samuel's blood, he said, leaving everyone in shock. Azazel. Why did you do that? Altered scream. Albion. I don't have much time, I have to do something so she doesn't die. It was Lavina, she deceived my bearer with Krom Kruich and her friends. They knew about the betrayal, only Kukuroka didn't know, he said while Albion's voice was cut off. Issei, what, he said furiously, releasing his power. Surzich. Calm down, Issei, we have to try to save him, he said nervously. Gabriel. Lucifer is right, son, you and Mike help him get up, said the werewolf, while both boys nodded. Azazel. Let's take him to the hospital, Citri. So those present quickly went to Citri territory to try to save the life of Lucifer's descendant, but the concern of several of those present was clear. 20 minutes later. Hospital Citri. We can see everyone in the waiting room very nervous as they watched how time passed, and they received no response from the doctors about the silver-haired boy situation, but nothing also just arrived to girls along with Mike and Gustav's mothers. Kuroka, office, please tell me it's not true, she said with tears. Office. I am sorry, Kuroka, but it's true, she said sadly. Doctor. Good evening, Mau, Lucifer, said the doctor entering the room. Issei. Doctor, how are you, Volley? He said nervously. Doctor. I won't lie to you, Sekiruite Volley is in serious condition. After turning a large part of his body into a dragon, Samuel's blood was deadly for him. We managed to stabilize him, but I'm afraid he's in a coma and we don't know how long he'll be like this, he said dryly, leaving everyone in shock. Issei. In a coma, he said in shock. Kuroka. That's not true, you're lying, my friend can't be in a coma, she screamed hysterically as she began to cry. Hineko. Nasama, calm down, she said while holding her sister. Kuroka. How do you want me to calm down? I sniff trusted that damn sniff, she said she loved him she said with tears hugging her sister. Issei. No I need some air he said coldly as he left the place. Mike. He's not okay he said a little sad. Gustav. Yes, I'll see that he's okay he said as he left, but no one saw Saji leave next to him. Mike. I think you'll need me to help you calm down Issei he said calmly as he began to walk, glancing surreptitiously at Kukuri who nodded slightly. Michael. Yes, I think you can calm him down he said calmly as he watched his son leave. Azazel. I still can't believe it. All the rest were in the hospital trying to assimilate the news, some were very hurt by the silver-haired boy situation, while others were still surprised that a person like Volley found himself in that situation because of love, but on the other hand, we see a brown-haired boy at full speed. Greg. What will you do? He said curiously from the glove. Issei. I'll go get that bastard and end his miserable life he said seriously. Greg. You know you could get into trouble if Volley's companions get involved to defend the factions because of your actions he said seriously. Issei. I don't care Volley is my friend and deserves revenge, and I also don't care that Albion is your rival he said seriously. Greg. Maybe you're right but as a dragon our code doesn't allow a dragon to take its mate from another, and Volley is in a way a dragon, so you have my full support. Issei. Thanks he couldn't continue because a voice interrupted him. Mike. Issei said behind him, catching his attention. Issei. Don't try to stop me he said seriously seeing the three boys behind him going at the same speed as him. Saji. We don't want to stop you he said seriously, while Issei watched as Saji had part of his armor activated, Mike had two wings out, and Gustav had his limbs with claws. Issei. What he said confused. Gustav. We will go with you he said seriously, surprising Issei, but making him smile maliciously. Issei. Then let's go for it. Search. We can see a large hotel facing the sea, while a blonde girl looked out the window of her room as the rain began to fall, watching as some drops hit the glass. It could be seen that the young woman was quite distressed. Prom Cruich something's wrong Lavinia, said a blonde man with a pair of black locks hugging the girl around the waist. Lavinia. No, it's nothing. I'm just worried that Volley will find out about this she said nervously. Prom Cruich. Don't worry, he will never know, and Biku and Arthur support us he said unconcerned. Lavinia. But I'm worried about the fact that LaFay has been missing for several days. She didn't agree with this, and Kuroka never knew about this. We don't know how she will react when she finds out she said nervously. Prom Cruich. Kuroka's thing isn't that important right now, she should be spending quality time with her sister, and she will never go against what her brother says he said calmly. Lavinia. I still feel strange, I have a bad feeling and just seeing the clouds like that, I don't know something is wrong she said distressed. Prom Cruich. I think you worry too much and maybe you feel that way because the day was ruined by the storm forecast he said nonchalantly. Lavina. I don't know, yesterday the forecast for today was sunny where this storm was caused. In the ocean. Quite a few kilometers away from the hotel, four boys could be seen flying at full speed. The seriousness of all four could be seen since none of them said a word, but an aura full of fury could be felt from a certain brown-haired boy who was leading the group. Mike. Issei, you must lower your power level. If you continue to increase it, I will no longer be able to hide our presence he said seriously. Gustav. Yes old man we will arrive soon and we do not have to be discovered, besides your power is raising the temperature of the ocean if you continue like this, you will cause a hurricane he said seriously. Issei. I'm sorry but you don't know how much I want to kill that bastard he said angrily. Saji. Now that I think about it, what excuse will we use to avoid being accused of attacking members of the alliance? He said seriously. Issei. I don't know and I don't care. I just want to finish off that bastard. I swear he'll regret it he said furiously. Mike. I have an idea he said seriously. Gustav Saji which one they said curious. Mike. True. Hospital Citri. We can see the Gremory and Citri clans along with Kukuri, Ravel, Griselda and Kuroka, as well as the leaders of the factions in the waiting room. They were all very distressed by what happened with the silver-haired man, but the most distressed was the leader of the Fallen and his partner Nekomata. Auden. How is the situation Azazel? Said the father of all arriving with Yasaka and the rest of the missing leaders. Azazel. What I told you, Volley is in a coma because of Samuel's blood he said angrily for not being able to be of help. Yasaka. How is it possible, how did it happen? She said confused. Azazel. It's hard to explain he said with a lump in his throat. Gabriel. The Hikari tried to take his life with Samuel's blood, said the werewolf leader. Auden. Why? He said surprised like the others. Gabriel. For love. 2 hours later. Night had already fallen, and Lavinia and her dragon lover were lying in their hotel bed sleeping very peacefully, but their rest ended because a strange alarm sounded, waking the girl up suddenly. Lavinia. What the she couldn't continue because she saw through the window how a hurricane was slowly approaching the coast, and the worst thing was that when she saw its trajectory, it would hit her building. Prom Cruach. What's happening, what's that noise? He said sleepily, not understanding anything. Iku. Guys, a hurricane is about to hit the hotel, he said upset, entering the room with the Pendragon. Lavinia. I know we have to get out of here, she said nervously. Prom Cruach. Yes, we have to go, he couldn't continue because everyone saw how they were taken into a magical dimension. Lavinia. What happened, she said confused. Issei. What a surprise to find them here, he said excitedly, freezing the blood of the 4 traitors. Prom Cruach. Securite, he said somewhat nervously while the 4 saw how the glass of the room had broken and in front of them with his dragon wings extended staring at them. Issei. What's wrong? Why do you guys seem nervous? What do you think? He said curiously. Like. They seem a little nervous, it seems like they've seen something scary, I said calmly while he appeared leaning on a piece of furniture. Gustav. If anything, since you helped defeat the Trihixi you became an Issei monster, or you are so ugly that you terrify those who look at you. Ugh, what a disgusting magazine. Who reads this, he said nonchalantly in the bed in the room reading a magazine. Saji. Come on Gustav, don't be like that. I think they have a good explanation for reacting that way. Don't you think so? He said at the door of the room, scaring the 4 of them when they saw that they were surrounded. Iku. Son of Michael, son of Helsing, Vitra bearer, he said with a drop of sweat running down his forehead. Issei. Let's go, why aren't they so nervous that they're happy to see us? He said with a smile. Prom Cruach. Enough of this nonsense, tell us why you came, he said seriously. Plaz. Acme brand sound effects. Everyone saw how the brown-haired boy entered the place and began to applaud, making Lavinia more nervous who could not stop feeling a great pressure in her chest, and the brown-haired boy's gaze, rather than trying to show kindness, caused her more concern. Issei. Very clever Prom Cruach, very clever, we are here because of what they did to Volley, furious shout stopping clapping. Lavinia. What are you talking about? I love Volley, I would never cheat on him, she screams upset. Issei. Ha, you really confessed it so quickly, I really didn't even mention that I had cheated on Volley, he said coldly while Lavinia opened her eyes in horror. Prom Cruach. You will not leave, he said seriously releasing his power. Issei. You really intimidate me, you're intimidating me. Do you think I came here just to tell you this? I didn't come for anything else very important, he said seriously. Prom Cruach. What a thing, he said seriously while Issei showed a somewhat sinister smile. Issei. Kill you? Looking for justice? Prom Cruach. Aye. The powerful evil dragon fell brutally to the ground while in the sky, you could see a red armor that emanated a rather fearsome and hate-filled aura who stared at the crater that had created the hole where the dragon had fallen. Issei. Get up and fight. Haidu residence. We can see a certain dragon goddess who had returned to the brown-haired boy's home with the other girls, since the leaders asked them to so they could rest after that day, but the gothic loli was looking out the window since a somewhat high power caught her attention. Lucy. What's going on, said the voice in the loli's head. The office. Issei is using my power and red, she said seriously. Lucy. Do you think he went looking for them? She said curiously. The office. It seems so. I just hope Icon doesn't get hurt, she said worriedly. Lucy. You'll see that he'll be fine, she said calmly. Ria's office. Do you know where Issei is? She said worriedly appearing behind her. The office. No, I don't know, she said a little distressed. Ria's. I hope he doesn't do anything crazy. Pendragon residence, Wales. We can see a young witch locked in her room while crying and making small cuts on her arms and other areas of her body while having a photo of Volley in front of her. The Fae. Volley sent sniff. Volley, forgive me, she said with much pain while a memory came to her head. Flashback. We can see the Volley group walking through a bazaar as they toured Europe, keeping a low profile since being allied to the Cows Brigade they were criminals and the slightest carelessness could attract the attention of the factions and get them into serious trouble. The Fae. How cute, she said with stars in her eyes seeing a necklace with a witch on it. Volley. If you like it, buy it, he said calmly while biting an apple. The Fae. I can't, he said bowing his head. Volley. Because, he said curiously. The Fae. My brother doesn't like me spending money on things he considers nonsense, he said sadly. Volley. I see, excuse me, as for this necklace, he said curiously. Seller. 15 euros is a very fine silver necklace, said the man calmly. Volley. Here you have it, he said calmly while giving the necklace to the blonde. The Fae. Thank you very much, Volley sent, she said very happily while putting it on. Ollie. You don't have to because well, let's go, we're running late, he said calmly as he began to walk. Issei. If we go. Then flashback. Issei, she doesn't deserve it, that bitch doesn't deserve his love, she doesn't deserve it. In the fight. Issei. Come on damn it, why don't you fight harder, eh? Because you're not that good at fighting, but you are good at sleeping with another dragon's partner, he said furiously, while repeatedly hitting the evil one. Crom Cruach this is not, it's not your business, why are you getting involved, he said furiously. Issei. I do it because Volley is my friend and because of you, those bastards and that bitch, my friend is in a battle between life and death, he said, while grabbing the dragon by the foot and slamming it against the floor. Lavinia. What did you say happened to Volley? She said furiously while she was caught in Vitra's whips. Saji. You are a shameless bitch, you still have the nerve to ask, he said angrily. Lavinia contesta malaaaggg. Saji. Can you shut up, your voice irritates me, he said seriously. Gustav. What's wrong? I thought Sun Wukong's descendant was stronger, but now I see that you're not just a stupid ape, he said seriously while holding Biku by the head and slamming him against the wall of the building. Like. You only bring dishonor to that sword after what you did. King Arthur must be turning in his grave because of you, he said seriously while running with a spear of light in his hand. Arthur. It didn't have to be like this, he said a little sadly as he destroyed the spear of light with his sword, but Mike managed to dodge the attack. Mike. You're right, but you never knew how to be a good friend, he said seriously, while creating an energy sphere and taking advantage of an exposed point of the blonde to attack. Issei. Come on, you're not having fun, Crom Cruach, he said amused as he hit the dragon over and over again. Crom Cruach. Bad damn, you're not the same brat you used to be, he said while trying to defend himself from the brown-haired boy. Issei. Yes, I have changed a lot, he said seriously while holding him and throwing him against a wall. Crom Cruach. I don't care, he beats you. He couldn't continue because Issei appeared in front of him and hit him, throwing him into the wall. Issei. Defeat me, you're still dreaming, he said seriously while creating a dragon shoot that he launched against the building where Crom Cruach was, causing everything to fall on top of him. Like. Issei, I think it's time, he said calmly, while bringing a very injured and unconscious Arthur. Gustav. If we have to start now, he said seriously dragging Biku's body. Issei. You're right, I can feel your presence getting closer, he said seriously. Lavinia. What are you planning to do? She said in pain as Saji continued to suffocate her with the whips. Issei. It's easy, you've heard the phrase a villain will always be a villain, that will happen to you, he said amused. Lavinia. What are you talking about? She said confused. I see. Well you see, he said seriously while nodding, and Saji created some ice daggers and threw them at Mike. Lavinia. What the hell are you doing? She screamed confused. Saji. Wow, ice magic is really complicated, he said calmly while Gustav attacked him with Senjutsu. Gustav. Mike, would you do me the honor? He said calmly as Mike threw a spear of light at him and the three of them fell to the ground, freeing the girl. Lavinia. Well because she said confused. Issei. You'll know, he said amused as a dragon shoot exploded on his chest. Crom Cruach. Why did you do that? He said wounded, emerging from the rubble. Issei just smiled while behind him, several magic circles appeared and from which the leaders came out, who were shocked to see the destruction of the battle, and even more so to see the boys on the floor and even an injured Issei standing in front of them. Sirs, Issei shock scream. Issei. Sirs, he couldn't continue because he started to fall, but in a quick movement Sirzich caught him. Sirzich. That's what happened, he said in shock. Issei. I saw we came to look for them to confront them and find out if what Albion had said was true, but when we arrived and wanted to talk to them they attacked us. We tried to defend ourselves, but he is still stronger than me, he said as he fell unconscious, leaving everyone in shock and especially the traitors. Lavinia. That's a lie, she couldn't continue because Azazel had hit her hard in the abdomen, leaving her unconscious. Crom Cruach. Wait, he's lying, he couldn't continue because Michael spoke. Michael. Mike, my little Helsing, I know you want to do it, he said angrily while carrying his son, and the werewolf leader threw a swipe at the dragon who in his state received it fully. Isaka. And what will we do, she said curiously. Sirzich. Issei and the boys to the underworld, we will take them to the hospital, he said seriously. Auden. And they, he said pointing at Crom Cruach and the rest. Sirzich. To prison. Calm. A large number of footsteps could be heard at high speed throughout the Citri hospital. Said sound was from the entire Grimory group along with a few girls who were practically running around the place. The reason Sirzich had to tell them what had happened with the boys. Riaz. Oni-sama, where is Issei, she said upset like the rest. Sirzich. He is in bed as well as Mike, Gustav and Saji. The doctors were able to treat his wounds, he said calmly making the girls let out a sigh of relief. Sona. But what happened to them? she said seriously. Serzich. They looked for Volley's group to confirm what Albion had said, but it seems that Krom Kruich did not like this and attacked them. The boys managed to defeat Biku and Arthur, but the evil dragon was stronger than us. We arrived in time, otherwise I don't know what would have happened, he said thoughtfully, but he froze when he felt an enormous murderous instinct coming from the girls. Rias. Oni-san, where are those bastards? She said in a tone that made her brother's skin crawl. Serzich. Well, they are in prison since a trial will be held, and he couldn't continue because someone spoke. Rafia. Ria-san, girls, don't you think that the health of Issei and the boys is more important, said the maid with a cold and cutting tone, causing the girls to begin to lose their killing instinct. Bakeno. It's true, we should go see Issei-kun, she said calmly and happily. Serzich. They are on the second floor, room 207, the four of them are together, he said calmly while the girls ran away. Rafia. It seems like they made you feel a little scared, she said amused. Serzich. No, of course not, although that attitude reminded me of you when a demon heiress of her family spoke to me nicely, and he couldn't continue because Grafia put her hand on his shoulder with a small grip. Grafia. Honey, she said with a cheerful tone that made the retard nervous. Serzich. Yes, he said very nervously. Grafia, shut up. Room 207. We can see the girls abruptly entering the place, seeing the boys who were lying on their beds. Ria's Issei screamed happily as he was surrounded by most of the girls who love him. Issei. Hi, but you, he said a little nervously. Zenobia. Issei, why did you do something so stupid, she said angrily. Issei. Boo, well, what happened is couldn't continue because someone spoke. Mike. Hey, I know what we did wasn't right, but you have to understand that Issei Volley is your friend and you had to do something for him, he said calmly. Griselda. But Mike-san, his life and that of the others were in grave danger, she said worriedly like an idol next to the angel. Gustav. Maybe, but if we let Issei go alone, he would have died. Those bastards wouldn't have hesitated to kill Issei to silence the truth, he said seriously. Momo. Then they could confirm what the white dragon said, she said curiously, while Kukuri showed a question mark. Saji. If we could see that damn dragon in bed with that bitch, he said seriously. Tsubasa. Wow, that Lavina looked like a decent girl, but she turned out to be a whore, said the Citri Tower with disgust. Rias. There are times when appearances are deceiving, she said seriously. Issei. That doesn't matter anymore, now we must find a way to save Volley. I don't know, going to see the dragons or going with Big Red, he said seriously. Rias. Issei, for now you should be in bed and rest. I know you're worried about Volley, but you have to calm down a bit about what happened, she said seriously. Issei. No, I can't, I don't know what happened, it brought me to the hospital, but he couldn't continue because Ria slapped him, leaving everyone surprised, while Issei's girlfriends got furious about that. Rias. Tell me what would have happened if you died against him, huh? If Volley woke up and found out, he would feel worse since his only true friend died for something that has to do with him, and in the end tell me, besides, not only would you have caused that, but also Sona would have lost two pieces when Saji and Gustav died, who is also the son of the leader of the lycanthropes, a blow that would put the alliance at risk since due to the action of a demon his son would have lost his life, but he is not the only faction that would receive a blow, since the son of the current overlord would also have lost his life. Now you understand. I know that Volley worries you, I know that you always help others as you have done with us, but it is time for you to rest from being the hero for a while, because a living hero matters than his memory, she said with tears like the girls, since they wanted Issei to stop always being the one who had to save everyone. Mike. I think you're right, Issei. Luckily Volley wasn't in contact with much of Samuel's blood. For now, the best thing will be to recover from this, and then we'll see how to help Volley, he said calmly. Saji, Gustav. We agree, they said in unison. Issei. Okay girls, I'll rest, he said calmly, cheering up the girls. Office. If you want I can go talk to Red to see what he thinks, she said curiously. Issei. Would you really do that? He said excitedly. Office. Sure, he said with a slight smile. Issei. Thanks office, he said happily, hugging the lowly who didn't take a second to reciprocate, making the girls boil with jealousy. Sona. Cough, it would be best to let them rest, she said with jealousy, while everyone nodded and left the place, bothering office for interrupting her moment. Griselda. Mike-san, take it, she said calmly, giving him a box, being the only female in the room. Mike. And this, he said curiously, seeing a strange very shiny bracelet. Griselda. A gift from your mother, she saw it when she came to the battles and bought it for you, she said with a happy smile as she proceeded to leave. Mike. Oh, it's very cute. Back to normal. We can see Issei and his friends being discharged after a week of what happened with Volley's ex-team being received by their loved ones, and especially by the girls who are madly in love with them. Obviously they were reprimanded by their parents after knowing what they did. Issei. Home sweet home, he said calmly as he entered his house. Mike. It feels so good to leave the hospital, he said calmly. Michael. I'm glad you're out of danger now, said the overlord calmly. Gustav. By the way, father, what will happen to those miserable people? He said seriously. Gabriel. They are currently in prison in the underworld and in a week their trial for treason against the alliance will take place, said the werewolf seriously. Issei. I hope they pay for what they did, he said seriously. Rias. Calm down, Issei, you'll see that they will pay, I assure you, she said happily, although she said the last thing with a dead voice. Issei. You're right, he said a little confused seeing his master's attitude. Sirzich. Well, seeing that you are better, we must return to work, he said a little discouraged like the other leaders who went to their respective factions leaving the boys with their crazy lovers. Sona. By the way, guys, what are you doing for the rest of the day? She said curiously. Issei. Well, now that you ask, we'll go work on a song that occurred to us while we were in bed and also move forward on our new project, he said happily. Irina. What is this new project about? She said curiously. Issei. Kukuri showed them, he said happily, while the mute girl nodded taking out a laptop and showed them the screen. All. A YouTube channel, they said surprised to see a channel with the name of the band and an image of the group. Saji. That's right, after the battle of the bands we thought we could create a channel where we could upload our songs to make ourselves better known, he said calmly. Gustav. And not only a YouTube channel, we also have a Facebook page, a Twitter account and an Instagram profile, he said calmly. Bekeno. Wow, it's amazing, wait, the channel already has more than 10,000 followers, she said incredulously. Like. Yes, that was thanks to Azazel being able to record all our battle songs and we were able to upload them to the channel. Even the judges of the event follow us on Instagram, he said, happy like his companions for the great progress of his band. Issei. Okay girls, see you later, we have to work on what will be our first music video, he said excitedly as the 5 of them left. Rias. We are so absent-minded that we didn't realize they would do something like that. We have to follow them, she said seriously while everyone took out their cell phones. Dimensional gap. We can see a gothic loli flying around the place quite annoyed since she had been looking for the dragon god Great Red for days but had not been able to find him no matter how far she had traveled in the gap. Office. Damn it, where are you, Big Red? The more time I spend here the less time I am with Icon, he said angrily. Great Red. Brat, what are you doing here? He said seriously, appearing in front of her. Office. Until you appear, she said angrily. Great Red. Why were you looking for me? He said seriously. Office. I need some of your flesh and blood, she said seriously. Great Red. What are you crazy for? He said seriously. Office. Volley Lucifer, the Hakuryaku is in a coma because of Samuel's blood, she said seriously. Great Red. What happened? He said seriously but a little surprised. Office. He tried to take his life, she said seriously. Great Red. Sorry you said that you're serious, but what nonsense are you saying, he said seriously. Office. I'm serious about trying to take his life after Lavina's bitch cheated on him with Crom Cruich, she said seriously. Great Red. Crom Cruich, but if Volley is a dragon he should know that taking another dragon's mate is forbidden, he said angrily. Office. I know, but it seems that idiot didn't care, she said seriously. Great Red. I see, well this time he does it just because you ask him to, he said seriously while biting a piece of his snout that began to fall being stopped by Office. Office. Thanks Red, I owe you one, she said calmly as she left the place. Great Red. Her aura has changed now, it is darker and more evil. What happened to her? 2 days later. Guo Park. We can see Issei with his friends chatting on a park bench while they continued working on their music video. Issei. They think that doing it in animated form won't hurt us, he said curiously. Like. Based on the ideas we had, the video would look better animated than in live action, he said calmly. Issei. I know, but in live action we could have a bit more impact, he said curiously. Saji. Yes, it could be, but people want something soon and it's faster to do an animation job than all the production that a live action video entails, he said seriously. Gustav. We also have to take into account the length of the song, the longer it lasts the longer it takes to make, and even more so in live action, he said calmly while eating some potatoes. Kukuri. I think the animated video will turn out pretty good, she said happily showing her poster. Issei. Well, if everyone agrees then it will be lively, and he couldn't continue because a voice interrupted him, capturing the attention of the 5. It's been a while since we've seen each other, Issei said, a girl's voice that froze the brown-haired boy's blood, and only one thing came to his mind. Issei. Rainer. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.